A statement win for the Georgia Bulldogs, 35-10 over Texas. And this wraps up Georgia's SEC season. One loss to Alabama, otherwise perfection. And the last 2 weeks, Georgia with this win over Texas and the win last week over Mississippi State, making national statements that this team is ready to compete at the highest levels. And frankly, I think you're seeing some growth from the defense and offensively to be able to, in the middle of the game, have a couple of drives where there were lulls. Texas gets right back into this. And then the aggression to go for it on fourth down, the aggression to do an onside kick after you get the game back in a manageable situation. Georgia puts up 21 points in the fourth quarter based on that aggression, based on Gunnar Stockton's efficiency, which when we're looking at this stat line, let's start there. Gunnar Stockton, 24 of 29, 229 yards, 4 touchdowns. He did have the interception. Fine. You want to overreact on that? Totally your call to do so. He picked up Georgia. Georgia picked up him. And man, I just thought this was as impressive of a win as I've seen from Georgia this season. And I had just said that last week with Mississippi State. That Texas team has a lot of good players, and I actually was as impressed with Arch Manning as I ever have been. He's not Heisman or anything, but you saw the tools there in a way that I had not seen up to this point, at least not consistently. And man, I just Georgia outclassed Texas in pretty much every way that you can. And maybe you felt this with Georgia and Bama early in Kirby's tenure, or maybe you still do. It seems like Georgia has a mental edge over Texas at this point. Texas, Radi was chatting about this, and we were looking at the stats on it. Texas cannot run the ball against Georgia. And like, let me pull up these stats that Radi had over on his Twitter account, because it was pretty remarkable. Texas has 4 SEC losses since joining the conference. 3 of them have come against Georgia. I was trying to find what the stat was about rushing. Texas, their rushing stats against Georgia have been dreadful. In 3 games over the last, essentially, year, slightly more, but essentially the last year, Robert Bailey gives the horns down. I think the horns down in downtown Athens tonight will be a common sight as Georgia fans celebrate this win. And I think that there's going to be jubilation about this team, where it's headed. And frankly, look, here's my overreaction. This is a more fun team to watch. This is a more fun team to cover than last year's team. And a lot of that, I think, has to do with the quarterback, but I think it goes much beyond that too. You felt like around this time last year that Georgia's team was scratching and clawing for everything that they were getting. And it just seems like this team is more cohesive. They play better together. Their ceiling is a bit higher. And I think that's just, as someone that does all of this for entertainment value, that's why I am attracted to this. This team's fun to watch. They can do a ton of stuff. Mike Bobo has been calling incredible offense for Georgia. Sans a couple drives in the middle of this where you could probably say that they got a bit too conservative. But that touchdown to Lawson Lucky, tight end drag, the fourth down play where you fake it to the back and then you toss it out there, like brilliant. I didn't even introduce myself. I just jumped into this. Dayne Young, UGAsports.com. This is our post-game overreaction show. I am going to feature your comments heavily. I will be running the ship here until Radi Nabulsi gets back to his spot and he can take over as this goes into the night. Lawson Lucky, great human, showed the story about his brother on College Game Day today, and how he always wants to be there for his brother who has a whole litany of special medical needs, and that Lawson Lucky is just a super active part of his life, to the point that after he had 3 touchdowns against Ole Miss, that Lawson Lucky 2 hours later was helping his brother get up into a bed with him where they could hang out together for the remainder of that night. Just excellent story. If you haven't found that, it's all over social media. You can search Lawson Lucky on YouTube at this point, and it'll pop up there. Caleb says he just joined the Texas post-game show, and their fans are pissed. He says, I understand that. I would think the same thing if I were someone that followed Texas, because last year that gap was tighter with Georgia. This year it is significant that Georgia outclassed them. DeMello Jones, one of the MVPs. DeMello's been great at the end of this year, and Georgia has improved in the secondary. And this Texas team has players, y'all. Like, this is their offensive line's not quite as good. Say what you want to about quarterback. I think there are takes for days there. But these receivers, you saw Ryan Wingo make plays. He's a really, really good player for the Bulldog, or for the Longhorns, and Georgia had some difficulty stopping him. But by the end of this, if any of you woke up today and you said Texas is going to score 10 points, 1 touchdown, I think you'd be very, very happy. Yep, exactly, Cecil. Great play calling, best game all season. I think that's the general feeling of Dog Nation right now. If you want to join this post-game overreaction show, you're welcome to do so. In our YouTube description, there is a link that you can click on that. It may ask you whether your Google account or a Facebook account or something to verify that you're actually a person. And once you do that, you can pop into our back-end system. I'll see that you did so, and you can come hang out and share your takes here. So do that. So it's not just me talking the whole time. I'll feature your comments heavily as we go through here. Yeah, Colin Simmons on Texas is elite. Same with Anthony Hill. I think they're both first-round picks. Larry's checking in from Poland. Says it's 5:30 in the morning, but I cannot go to sleep after that. Completely understood that. Man, that's the kind of win that resonates around the world, quite literally, in your case. Bobo cooking up a lot of good stuff. I don't know that you can have criticism over Mike Bobo in aggregate, maybe specific small things, but Gunnar Stockton is not going to be confused with some elite pro prospect. He's not going to be a first-round pick in the future. For Georgia's offense to look this way, and I think a lot of it's because of offensive line, but a lot of it's just the creativity with these tight ends, with these running backs, the efficiency from Gunnar Stockton, the explosion from him, his ability to run. I mean, it's a massive shift for Kirby Smart to have said a couple of weeks ago, you have to have a quarterback run threat. They obviously didn't believe that previously to this year because of who was starting the previous few years. Now, can you win a lot of games with the pocket passer with a great arm? Sure, totally can, if you know where the ball's going. But I think that threat of a run is something that you'll see with Georgia forevermore. Brandon says that the onside kick was legendary, and right up there when the timeout that wasn't the timeout where I was just clapping. I was also thinking of the best timeout in the history of the world that last year, right? So I was stunned that Kirby Smart called that onside kick, because traditionally when you start to get a score, which at that point this was 21-10, so you have a 2-score game in the fourth quarter. Historically, Kirby Smart says, I trust my defense. I'll roll with that. That's going to be the best way to go win this game. Defense, run the ball, possession. For him to do that and be aggressive, it feels like one of two things, and I'll let you all decide. It is the aggression that he's talking about. Maybe it's a lack of confidence in defense slightly. I don't know that happens in 2021 or 22 with those defenses. Totally fine. But the fact is, aggressive call. It worked out. It was beautiful. Cass Jones gets to pick up the onside kick, which, if you remember last year, he did a media availability before the game with Texas, and he did the horns down symbol in the media availability. He's from Texas, came to Georgia to be a walk-on. beating Texas is extra special for Cass Jones. Same for Dylan Bell, a couple other guys on the team from Texas too. That is, I mean, one of the more aggressive, ballsier calls that I've seen from Kirby Smart in the decade that he's coached this team. And that is something to be feared a little bit if Georgia's playing with that degree of confidence. Delmar is asking for injury updates. I'm on with y'all right now, so I'm not hearing what Kirby is telling media. Typically, Radi comes in and has some of that. So CJ Allen will be the primary one that we are monitoring. And then we'll also want to know what happened with Chauncey Bowens. David says Drew Bobo played great with all 9 fingers. Yeah, his pinky was lacerated last week, and he had a special glove that had some fingers pulled out of it so he could grip the ball a little bit better. All right, here. Let's get some more in the chat here. Amari jokes, do you think Art's transfer to Georgia? I'm just joking. I know I do not think that that happens. Jared Curtis was at this game today, and I can tell you for future QB1 for the Dogs, that was a fun atmosphere for him to see. If anyone was thinking that flirtations with Vandy was happening, Vandy can't do what happened there. 5:30 a.m. in Prague. I would say go to sleep, but I understand if you don't. Got a lot of Go Dogs in here. For once, Georgia can be a rested team. Charlotte next week, 12:45. They're one of the worst teams in college football. And so Georgia will get to play a ton of dudes next week. I see Paul Meharry's joining in here. Been a minute since I chatted with Paul. Man, this was, I feel like you created this. And I have stepped into your world, so I hope I'm making you proud, my friend.
You are, my friend, you are. 35-10. Dayne. Oh, my God. Man, this was a regular season game that I haven't experienced in quite some time. It felt refreshing. It felt different. I'm not in the
And
media
different
in
from
it.
Texas last year, right? Because Texas
Oh,
last year,
yeah.
the offense was turning the ball over so much.
So here's the thing. So everybody and their mother was on Texas preseason, right? And it feels like vindication, right? It feels like vindication for Gunnar Stockton. It you know it wasn't what you thought it was going to be, right? And you come out 35-10. You're up 14-3. You could have put this game away, I don't know, 2 or 3 possessions in the second half, and in the late first half, early second half.
Yeah.
You didn't do it. And somehow you win 35-10. Gunnar Stockton has 5 touchdowns. Like, this is a guy, Dayne, preseason on some of the shows. If you would have asked, myself and you, can Gunnar Stockton, just like Carson Beck, could Gunnar Stockton take you to the national championship? We probably would have said no, at the beginning of the season. This guy's a difference maker. He's everything that Georgia fans want their quarterback to be. Homegrown, got the F-150. You saw it getting tweeted out last night that it was sitting at Foley Field. It's just what Georgia fans want. And they get a kid to come in, loves the state of Georgia, and this is the result. The defense is not nearly as good as we've seen in years past. They look better this year, this game. But overall this year they haven't looked great. CJ Allen goes out. You get Chris Cole to step up.
If I would have told you that CJ Allen gets hurt in the early second quarter of this game and Georgia holds Texas to 10 points,
I'd be like, all right, well, I guess Georgia lost 10-7. I mean, it's unfortunate, and it's been silent Dayne, as you know, on the CJ Allen injury front, which is never good news when it's this silent for this long. Um, I don't know, man. This was a special win for Georgia for a regular season win. This was a game that has been circled for since Texas got into the SEC. As a game for Georgia. And sure, you want to beat Alabama at home. But you are Texas's daddy as much as Alabama is Georgia's daddy. Like and you're and Georgia's a lot of teams' daddies, but you're just not Alabama's. But to not take away from that, Texas, Arch Manning, especially what went down. Sorry, Dan, I've had a few Modelo's. What went down with the Arch recruitment and how he was, supposed to come to Georgia and then headed off to Austin, Texas. Georgia was stuck with Gunner, who was a year ahead of him, and he comes out and puts up 5 touchdowns. It's a funny story how it all goes down.
Well, and to your point about expectations coming into the season, we are all included in that. If you rank the SEC quarterbacks, which is you have to fill time in the content space preseason.
Sure.
I think a lot of people were putting Gunnar Stockton as like one of the worst 5 quarterbacks in the SEC based on what we knew at the time.
And
then
Dane,
now
let's
that seems so absurd and so silly based on what we've seen from Sellers and Lagway and Nussmeier. Like all that's blown out of the water, and he just keeps rolling.
But let's not act like that wasn't in good faith, though. What we were hearing was Georgia tried to get other transfer quarterbacks to come in. Fernando Mendoza was a name that Georgia went after. It wasn't that.
All right. As
it wasn't that. It wasn't. And I say we as a literal sense, as me still being in the media back then. It wasn't that we just made that up. It was coming out of the program back then.
Well, and as I understand it, Fernando Mendoza was going to come to Georgia. And then the Carson Beck injury happened in the SEC championship game. And Gunner, the team rallied around him. They win at the end of that. And like all that decision making happens in between SEC championship and playoff. Mm-hmm. And Mendoza looks at it and says, they're going to roll with Gunner. Why wouldn't they?
But let's also remember, like, Georgia's quarterback that led them to 2 national titles back to back was a walk-on. That Georgia didn't. That Kirby Smart in Georgia was like, yeah, I guess you can come back from Jones Community College. I mean, we can make a spot, I guess. Like, come on back.
There's this Dwan Mathis kid. If you want to sit behind him and watch him,
right.
But I guess hypothetically, Paul, Georgia would have had, if you think Gunnar Stockton is playing as one of the best 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the country right now, then Georgia was going to have one of the best 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the country, no matter which way it went.
Yeah.
I just don't know that we all knew that at the time.
No, we didn't. And shout out to Gunnar. I don't think anybody had as much faith in Gunnar as Gunnar did, and maybe Curry Smart and Mike Bobo, because beating Texas 35-10. Texas, if you go through all the offseason, ESPN was putting them up on the high horse. They were the team, right? You see Colin Simons or Colin Simons, whichever it is, and Michael Taft, Anthony Hill. You got Arch Manning. You got a Manning at quarterback, and Georgia beats him 35-10.
Well, all right. So you think the Arch Manning hype is happening? You saw the Peyton's kid be featured tonight, right?
I did. I saw that.
Grade?
I saw that. Got a forehead just like his daddy.
Start cranking that one.
Somebody said grow the beard out again. That's crazy. The wife likes the chin. All right, let's calm down. Yeah.
I don't know why you're trying to calm down. I mean, it's Saturday night. Georgia just beat Texas 35-10. You've had some Modelo's. I don't know. That's a calm down situation.
It's not a calm down. I'm telling them to calm down. I'm not growing the beard back out. It's not going. It's not going to happen. I'm just happy, Dane. I'm happy. I'm out of the media now, so I can I guess show my allegiance, I guess, in a sense. And this was a bang up win for the Georgia Bulldogs. For the folks who are listening to this later on, or listening to it, going home or whatever it was, bang up win for the Georgia Bulldogs. This was a season changing win. I mean, we were low after Alabama, right? But it is it just feels like something different is in the air. Gunner's playing well. Chauncey Bowens, I think, is okay. He's not going to be hurt for too long. CJ Allen, who knows? But you've got, it's Paul at a bus station. Yeah, I'm sitting here waiting on my next stop. That's the Dr. Greg Steely, of course, the chiropractor, making jokes here. That's great. Yeah.
I suppose if you're here, Paul.
Sure, I'm here.
I should delight you with Eddie from Ackworth.
I would much rather leave right now than do this.
No. Don't do that. Don't do that.
I don't think you understand, Dayne. I would.
I can kick you both out if there's something I don't know about here.
No, it's all love between me and the old man.
It's all love. Hey boys, Dayne, how are you?
Well, how are you, Eddie?
Good. Oh man, I want to iterate or reiterate what Paul said. I mean, this is I can't think of a better regular season win. Maybe since we beat LSU. You remember that game?
I was at that game. Is that Mettenberger?
I was too.
Oh, you're going back to 13?
I literally can't think of a. Now, let me preface that by saying that game was fun, but it didn't mean anything. This game means something. This is massive. This tells the nation that, hey, the University of Georgia is not screwing around anymore. We are peaking at the right time. And guess what, boys? We have Charlotte and Tech, and then we go to the playoffs. Look out. And Herb Street did everything he could during this game to tell us all about Texas and all about Arch Manning and all about, they still got a shot in this thing. Okay, whatever. Georgia made a statement tonight, and I've never been more proud of my university than I was tonight. It was a beatdown. And there was times, Paul, you're right, where we could have ended this game in the first and second quarter. And Kirby kind of, I don't know if he read the room and kind of said, I feel this thing and we can kind of slow it down because our defense has got this. And I think he was right to a point. But when Texas scored that touchdown, I got a little nervous, and y'all did too, didn't you?
Yeah, it definitely happened. But the problem was Georgia and Bobo and Gunner could have put this game out in the first half. Like, they had a couple chances. And if we're overreacting, I guess that could be what it is towards. But the defense, I mean, this defense is something we haven't seen all season. Quintavious Johnson is turning into a man before our eyes. Somebody called out Gabe Harris on Twitter.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Gabe Harris
got himself a sack tonight, went crazy. Yep. Chris Cole got some run time with the ones and looked phenomenal.
15.
DeMello Jones was
a man-child tonight.
Yeah, I mean, think about next year. You have DeMello Jones, Ellis Robinson, and Dom Kelly.
Yeah.
That's probably the most impressive thing about this team is they've taken hits. Jordan Hall, not there. Colby Young, not there. Daniel Harris, not good enough to play. Ellis Robinson having to take a spot behind. Like, they're going deep into the roster, and it keeps getting better.
Better or sustaining, and it's younger. Like, Brent Rollins put out that tweet last week, circling the juniors and seniors. I think there was 2 on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, this was supposed to be a rebuilding year.
That's right.
You didn't know what you had with Gunner. You brought in some wide receivers you were hoping would be good. You didn't really know what you had at running back. If we're being honest, you had some sophomores. You brought in McCray. You had tight ends that have been compared to Brock Bowers since they've been on campus.
Close. Not
Justin
even close.
That's right. Glover and Gaston. That's to me when this team changed.
Yeah.
When those guys became what they are.
But yeah, you're relying on 2 freshman offensive linemen to play meaningful snaps. This offense shouldn't be putting up 35 against Texas. Let's just be
No.
honest. I mean, it shouldn't, but it is, and Gunner's efficient. And I said at the beginning of the season, I mean, we've hashed this out already, Dane, me and you, but Eddie's here now. He was a bottom SEC quarterback. He was. Like all the intel we received, everything we saw preseason, it was like, all right, well, I guess Gunner's going to go with, or excuse me, I guess George is going to go with Gunner Stockton. I guess that's who they're going to have to go with.
That feeling is what feels like Stetson Bennett. I don't know the comparisons make a whole lot of sense otherwise, other than they can both scramble around. Gunner is a tougher runner. There's more design stuff for him. Stetson was probably a bit more elusive. I think overall Stetson's arm is probably a little bit better. But in terms of the feeling that you're relying on this because you don't have other options, and then they turn out to be the best option you could have ever hoped for, that is the familiar feeling.
Yeah.
Let me throw this to you guys. If I had told you guys in June that this game was going to come down to quarterback play, Texas and Georgia in November, in June, who would you have said had won this game 35-10? Who would you have said? Dayne? I know what you have said.
I mean, at the time, I probably would have said Arch Man, but I didn't have confidence in him either because I mean,
but you had a little more confidence in him than Gunner, though.
Sure, exactly. They were both equally unproven, and I would have told you I thought Arch had a better tool set to work with, and frankly, probably a better roster around him. And both of those things are not true.
Right. But isn't that amazing? I mean, and that's what it came down to tonight. And Gunner kicked his ass. I mean, I'm sorry, Arch looked lost. We made him look silly tonight. And by the way, where is Arch's legs? I thought that was a big weapon that Sark was going to pull out. I saw none of that tonight. Gunner used his legs somewhat, right? Pretty effectively. Arch did none of that except it was in like almost panic mode when he used his legs. They didn't use him at all. I thought it was a terrible play by Sark to not use his legs like he should have.
And we're 30 minutes into the show, and I'm going to get off soon because I retired. Did not get fired. Retired.
I mean, Radi's in the background if we need to bring him on to verify.
Yeah, see, Radi's gonna say I was fired and not retired, so I have to get that in.
No, he's gonna say you were never hired.
Yeah, very true. Very true. What about the onside kick?
Oh my gosh.
What about the onside? Like,
when does Kirby do that? When you have a 2-possession lead in the fourth quarter?
I don't think he does.
I don't know that I've seen that in 10 years.
No.
Well, I'll just say it right now, and I'll be crude about this. Kirby put his balls on the table several times tonight, and it worked out. He did.
The fourth down.
Sark, if you look over the picture of Sark, every time they do a play, he looked like, oh my God. I mean, he was like this almost. He didn't do that, but that's what he looked like. Kirby's the best coach in college football, and there's not even a question about it. I mean, he's incredible. That was unbelievable. He basically toyed with Sark the whole game. That's what he did.
Yeah, you're not lying. You're not lying there.
The only other thing I'm going to add to this with Gunner Stockton, because I did beat this drum all off season, that I do think that in this world of college football where rosters are more transient than ever, that there's something unique about having Gunner Stockton with Mike Bobo, whose father coached him since he was a youth quarterback, and Drew Bobo at center. There's something special about those guys always being on the same page, and very much in the sense of like baseball, when you have a battery, the pitcher catcher situation that can go win you a playoff game against a solid lineup. There seems like there's something there that helps Georgia and allows all this other talent that's emerging, that Noah Thomas can do what he did in this game, that Zachariah Branch is one of the most feared playmakers in the country. All these running backs coming along, these mountains of true freshman linemen. But it seems like all that is allowed to happen because of how steady that core is, with Bobo calling plays, Bobo snapping, to Gunner, who orchestrates from there. There's a little bit of magic of something there that I think is lost in the transfer nature of college football.
Well, that's a great point, but I'll add one thing also. You mentioned Zachariah Branch. He didn't really do much tonight. His stats
Stop
were
it. Stop
literally
the
nothing.
shit. Stop the
Okay,
shit.
wait.
Stop the
What do you mean?
shit.
Okay. He didn't
This
have
is not stop the shit, Eddie. We're not banging on number one on this show. Won't
Oh,
happen. Go on
can
another
I
show.
finish?
Go on another show. Don't do it on here. We're not doing it. Go to the
Are
next
you done?
point.
Are
Go
you
to the next
done?
point.
Can I finish my point? Number one did not have a big night tonight. My point was when the game was in hand, who was the happiest kid on the sideline hugging Kirby Smart? Zachariah Branch. He does not care that he did not have a big stat night. He's ecstatic that the team won. That was my point. He's a team player, and that's what all these guys are. They're happy that the team won. They're not sitting there pouting because they didn't get the ball 5 times. He
Good
doesn't
point.
care. Thank you.
Good
You didn't
point.
let me make it. You had to shit all over me first.
But
So
we're not. This isn't going to be a Zachariah Branch shit show. I'm telling you that right
that
now.
wasn't the point. That
I'm his
wasn't
number
the
one fan. I'm his number one fan,
I
Eddie.
have another
If
tell it.
anything, I think Branch is happy that all the attention gets brought to him when he sees 3 defenders crash down because he just made a motion to the side and watched London Humphreys go get wide open.
Exactly. He was a decoy.
And Zachariah Branch is making himself some money, boys. Making
Guy.
himself some money.
Love it.
I'm telling you, he's my favorite wide receiver George has had. The only one I can think of in the last 10 years would be George Pickens.
Yeah.
I'm not lying. He's shifty with the ball in his hands. He's a difference maker every time the ball is in his hands, even if it's a screenplay. He's gonna shake a dude out of his shoes. He's completely changed. And yes, his brother obviously got that PI call, which Kirby they caught it on the TV saying that was a huge penalty, and it was.
Yeah. It was.
But Zachariah Branch, I mean, and then Noah Thomas has the same amount of touchdown catches that Zachariah has so far in the season, and being able to have Colby Young go down and then replace him with Noah Thomas is something crazy. Like Georgia hasn't had that level of depth in a long time, a wide receiver. Noah Thomas, I thought he was going to be the guy. I thought he was
noticing Landon Roldan keeps getting a little extra. He was in their first half again today. Something's coming with him. I don't know what they keep.
They've tried a couple times. They've tried a couple times with some long passes and things like that. But
there's again to my point. That's what I was saying, Paul. You mentioned Noah Thomas. I mean, he's been waiting, and finally, I mean, he had 2 touchdown game today. He did the other day too. I mean, he had a big game too, but he hasn't said a word all year long, and the ball has not come his way. Where I like, where's Noah Thomas? Where's Noah Thomas? Nothing was said of this kid, and he could have been on the sideline going, "Come on, coach, give me the ball," or we could have heard that. We heard none of that. These guys just get it. That's what I love about this team. It's all because I'm telling you, it's all because of Gunnar Stockton. This team is Gunnar Stockton. They have adapted his mentality and just like, let's go win the game, guys. I don't care how we do it. Let's get it done. And they're all just like, let's go.
All right, let's get to the bottom of the mystery. Did the internship end with Paul Radi, or was he hired? Like, what happened?
So one day, back when I was working with ESPN, I reached out. I'm like, hey, I need somebody to help me with something. And I put out like a call, and Paul was one of the first guys that showed up, and we stayed in touch. And then I went back to UGA Sports, and I brought him on officially as an intern because he had a job at the time or whatever. And then he stuck around, and Paul has been with us 8 years, Paul?
No, I've been with you since the jump, 10 years.
10 years. So
yeah.
He's one of the first guys I brought on, and even though he's an intern, we worked the shit out of him, and slave labor and no wages, paid him damn near nothing. And when he's like, "Oh, I just had what are you up to? 15, 16 kids now?"
There's 17. We just had it. I just made another one after that Texas game.
You watched another one being made, I could tell. But I'm just saying, it's a situation where he's got a lot of kids, and so he's like, "Hey, I don't know if I can do the show each week," and I'm like, "That's fine, Habibi." Yeah. So Paul's my dog, and he's the one I give the most grief to. So
By far.
because he can
By
take it.
far.
Because Pinky's the man.
All right. You don't have to go that far. You don't have to go that deep.
Even
But
if
no,
we can't tell what's lotion and what's shampoo.
it was a amazing game. It was a the only team I'm scared of, guys, is Ohio State. And be honest, that's the only
Who
team.
cares at this point? I mean, and that's maybe the national championship, or
Yeah, I mean,
cares,
it would
right?
be the national championship, yeah. But
maybe
you know, it
you don't think
Georgia.
what you saw tonight we couldn't compete with them? I mean, all right, let's just say Julian Sayin is better than Arch, right? Did you say that right now?
It's not so much, it's just the whole team is just it reminds me of 21-22 Georgia. Like nobody was stopping them.
Are you telling me their defense is that much better than Texas's?
Yes.
You think so?
Yeah, I am.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I think they're really good. I think they're
played
really
one
good.
top 10 team once.
I'm not so worried about the top 10. But again, we're arguing over a team that they'll play in the national title. I mean, it's
right. No, you're right. That's
nobody's gonna touch them until they get. All right, I gotta get out of here. Folks are making fun of the high school nickname.
It's great. Don't be ridiculous.
I wouldn't want to see Ole Miss again.
What? Dang, they almost lost to Florida. What are you talking about?
You want Lane Kiffin to have another shot at Georgia's secondary?
Yeah, because by the time that Ole Miss is playing Georgia again, he's not going to be the coach. He's going to be somewhere else.
Fair.
He's going to be at Florida or LSU or Penn State, wherever he wants to go.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. Right. Hey, shout out to Miss Mary Embroidery. She's been with us since the beginning. I want to say that she's been here.
She's right there. It's Ohio State hadn't played anybody. Neither is Indiana, by the way.
Nope.
And they look decent, but I think yeah. You know what was very, very intriguing was when they put up the graphic on Texas A&M. It was halfway through the game. They were losing that game to South Carolina, and they showed who they've played in the SEC, and was the bottom 8.
On the right-hand side,
They ain't played it. And here's the thing: if Shane Beamer could hold on to a 27-point lead, Georgia would have punched their ticket tonight to the SEC championship game.
Did you see what he did, Radi?
Give them a 27-point lead. Now,
Radi, did you see what he did at halftime? Did you see what he did at halftime?
No, what did he do?
He's running into the tunnel, pumping the Texas A&M fans up. He talked at halftime, said. They asked him, they said, were you concerned about the Texas A&M team? No, we beat them last year by 24 points. You don't think this would be any different? Then runs into the tunnel, throwing his hands up in the air, and then he doesn't score a point in the second half.
I'm just telling you, we could talk about the football gods. The ball don't lie. You get a bad call, and then all of a sudden there's karma in it. The football gods hate hubris among all things. The last thing you do is say, I've got the best staff, or I've got the best player. Any pride that you put out publicly, the word's hubris. Any hubris you put out there, the football gods will punish you. And you say, yeah, we got this. Yeah, they didn't score again. So
is that why that first half happened though? Because Texas A&M was like, we're going to give an extension to Mike Elko. Manziel's on the sideline right now.
Perfect.
Don't do that before a game. Yeah.
Perfect example. Perfect example.
Punish you, man. You just that is a Tuesday thing.
1000% Tuesday afternoon. We're giving Mike Elko a raise. We'll talk about it at the Thursday press conference. We'll move forward. Nobody talks about it except you put it out Saturday morning on game day. Pete Thamel gets it, and it's like, all right, well, Mike Elko's getting an extension. And then at halftime, they're talking about it during the broadcast. They're like,
is the ink dry?
Right. Are they sure Texas A&M wants to do this right now? They're losing 27-3 to Shane Beamer, 30-3, and then they come out and win. And just like Roddy said, you go into halftime pumping your fist, talking about how we beat them last week. It's just refreshing that Kirby Smart doesn't do that.
He does. Kirby does the onside kick. He yells at his guys when they're up 35-10. He doesn't dance around like he's from Kansas City. You know, he just
We're
does his.
doing the watch along show. It gets under like a minute to go, and Georgia's needing to run out the clock. I think it was 2 minutes, and the first down run, they didn't get much of anything. And Coach Donnan sits here and is like, Kirby's not going to be happy about that. And I'm like, not happy about what? Like Georgia's just like destroyed Texas in this game. He's like, he's not going to want them to have to punt this ball.
Think about this. When you guys go to bed tonight, you'll know that Alabama lost at home and Georgia beat a top 10 team at home.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Beat Arch.
You lost Alabama. You did 3 points. You gave them 3 points on the turnover. They kicked a field goal. They beat you by 3. But you also played it without your tackles. I'm like, if there's any way that Georgia can wind up, get another crack at Alabama, I'd love to see how that one turns out.
Yep.
And they will. They will.
They can lose again. I mean, here's the thing. Texas now thinks about Georgia the way Georgia thinks about Alabama. Georgia has 4 losses in the SEC since they joined. 3 of them are to the Bulldogs. They have run in 3 games combined for 79 yards.
Yeah.
3 games. They have not cracked 100 total. They can't run on this Georgia team, and they haven't been able to. And this is without Jordan Hall and C.J. Allen.
Yep.
So you at some point, the Texas fans are going to start feeling like Georgia fans do anytime you see that script A. But I'd like to see a rematch between Georgia and Alabama with the way this offensive line is playing, with the maturation we've seen from Gunnar Stockton. Gunnar Stockton, 5 freaking touchdowns today. You got to start talking about this kid in the Heisman race. I mean, I know he's not flashy enough. He doesn't put up the crazy numbers. But right now, you want to go to war with Gunnar Stockton. He's going to run it. He's going to get the ball out. I'm giving Georgia a chance in any game. Like, they talk about Ohio State, talk about Indiana, talk about Alabama again, Ole Miss again. This offense, and they got bogged down in the second quarter, but when they need to, they can turn it on because you can run it, they can throw it, they can use the tight ends. This is a nasty offense.
Do y'all realize that 2 months ago we were getting on this show and we were discussing Jazeer Jackson and Michael Weaney and how Georgia was dealing with that? That was 2 months ago.
And how bad that turned out?
And for them to have navigated that to get to this, and I'm not trying to trash on those guys.
No,
they may turn out to be really good players. There's not. They're not ready for this now.
I got something for you, and I heard Scott Howard when I was driving back. He mentioned something about this. They were talking about the injuries. So Georgia loses C.J. Allen against Arch Manning, guy who can run it or throw it. That's not good. Chris Cole comes in. Chris Cole winds up being your leading tackler. Pretty damn good. Georgia loses Jordan Hall. That's a tough loss. They're still getting to the quarterback. You're still seeing some press in the middle. Still can't run on him. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Georgia, I don't say they lost Daniel Harris to injury. You didn't. He didn't work out. They replaced him. You lost Kyron Jones.
Who was back out there tonight? He was back out there tonight.
No, that was Chris Jones.
No, Kyron Jones was out there. I promise you.
No,
27.
Kyron's not playing, dude.
27 is Rashawn Dinkins.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
Rashawn Dinkins
came in at the end.
Dinkins was in early then. He was in early.
Yeah,
I'm just saying you lost Colby Young.
There was a K Jones though, but that's Chris Jones, the backer.
Anyway,
he's the former inside linebacker that they moved outside. But
what number is he?
28.
Then that makes sense. I could have
Young,
swore Kyron Jones
Young,
was in there. I was like, yo, how does he back?
Well,
his
Rashawn Dinkins is
up.
27. He's 27.
Yeah, 27 is Dink. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Here's my point. You've seen these. You lose Colby Young. How much production have you lost at the wide receiver spot?
You got 2 touchdowns from the backup, Noah Thomas.
I'm just saying, we talk about Georgia can't build depth like they used to. It's impossible. And the next man up is not always a good thing because the next man up was the guy who got beat out for that starting spot, But you got to give these dogs credit for that. They lost guys on the offensive line. They lost guys at wide receiver. They lost guys everywhere. and they just plug and play, and the whole team seems to be getting better. And Dayne, you're right. You're starting to see new guys come in, new faces. Elias, you lose Ethan Barbour early on. Remember, this guy started his first game as a true freshman. Now Elias Williams is coming on. You lost the whole right side of your line in the first half of the first game, and now you've got Dontrell Glover and Juan Gaston. My whole point is this. I don't know what's going to happen for the rest of the season, but through 10 games, I said last year was the best coaching job I had seen from the Georgia coaching staff, considering they were playing that ridiculous schedule and they won an SEC title. This year, the coaching may be even better. And again, it's the guys you don't like. It's the Mike Bobo had some questionable calls tonight, but then he got in his bag and he pulled some crap out of there that was just mind-boggling. Stacey Searles, with all the injuries he's had, he's done a good job. The secondary guys, they don't have a lot of talent back there, but Arch Manning scored 10 points. So
struggled to do so.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's been a very, very impressive staff coaching effort, and shout out to I want to give the players credit, but also the fact that you've suffered so many injuries. Remember, Texas came in without anybody, no one on the injury report. They were at full health, and you beat their ass like they owed you money. You won by 25. He scored 21 points.
Yeah, that's a great call by
great comment. Great comment from Stacey Carter right there.
Did Justice Terry play?
Elijah Griffin did. Elijah Griffin did.
I know that.
Elijah's everywhere.
I don't recall seeing Justice Terry.
I don't recall seeing him either. Tyler Atkinson. I'm telling you right now.
Will be next year, but
I'm telling you, Tyler Atkinson. I harped on the train for Chauncey Bowens. Tyler Atkinson's going to be that guy. I'm just saying. You might want to throw a little bit more money at him, see if he can head to Athens. Kid's a beast.
Hey, Roddy, we've got some people waiting in the wings. So I'm going to slide out.
Perfect. That means we all can leave Roddy here.
No, hey, if you're going to do that, I'll leave. Fine. Fuck all y'all. I'll bring on John.
Well, good to see you, my friend. Eddie, same.
Oh, and I got JC in the comment section too. I don't need any.
Oh, no, I didn't leave in time. All right, I'm out of here. Love you, Roddy.
All right, see you, man. See you. All right. All those bastards left me, so I'm gonna go to John and JC. Y'all are better than all those guys anyway. We missed Andrew Butts by like 2 seconds. He was going to. I wanted him to be on there with Eddie's, but I'm gonna bring him on now. Guys, give me 1 second to shout out one of our sponsors here.
Damn.
You'll see at the bottom of the screen there. The Postgame Overreaction show is presented by the Rogue Shop. There was a law passed recently that seems to be coming after THC infused products. I don't know what this is going to do to our friends at the Rogue Shop, but I'm telling you right now, if you are like me and you like to have your gummies for chronic pain, and if you need help sleeping, go to the Rogue Shop right now. Use promo code Bulldogs10. Get your orders in. Again, I don't know what's going to happen with this whole law that was passed, or this. I've been hearing things that something was in that last resolution that when Congress reopened the government, that there might have been something in there to screw over the people who, the people who harvest hemp. So anyway, go to the Rogue Shop, get your stuff now. Don't wait. And also lets them know that you heard about them on the UGA Sports Postgame Overreaction show when you use promo code Bulldogs10. If you don't use the code, you don't get 10% off. And then they just see that, wow, we're selling a lot of stuff in Georgia, but they don't know that it came through us. So please do that. All right, John, you were up first, so let's get your thoughts.
Oh, great win. I mean, I'll just say this. The only critical thing I have to say is Daylen Everett has to play better. He has to play better. And when we go back and watch, look at how many times he's standing around the pile. I don't think he gave any effort on that touchdown. If we're overreacting, he has got to play better down the stretch. I'll give Ellis Robinson a pass. He's young, but Daylen Everett, to me, did not play well tonight. Other than I guess he stripped the ball that wasn't a fumble, but that's the only thing critical. And the thing I'll say too is, I was going to bust Eddie because last year after the SEC championship, Eddie was the one still carrying the flag for Carson Beck, saying, if you had your choice, who are you going to play? But he got off too soon.
He knew you were
Gunnar
coming. He had to
Stockton,
run, man.
yeah, Gunnar Stockton deserves every bit of praise he's getting. He's tough as hell. And I don't think we got to worry about Tyler Atkinson. I think Sarkisian's done. I think he's going to the NFL. And I think he's a skinny Jim Chaney. That's all he is. He cannot. He is. He is. He is. Think about it. I don't know where. I guess he worked for Pete. I guess he worked for Pete Carroll and he worked for Nick Saban. He was horrible when he was with the Falcons because he was drunk. But I mean, he is. I've never liked the guy, but I've never understood where the love from the national media with this guy. He's not an offensive guru. He's not an offensive guru.
He wasn't.
Well, he hadn't been in a big game. In big games, he's not. He's not. He's to me, Arch Manning made a terrible decision playing for that guy. I mean, seriously, Arch Manning's a generational talent and he'll do well in the league, but Steve Sarkisian is not who they play him out to be. Just go back and look at his record in big games.
Hey, John, can I ask you something?
Mm-hmm.
So last year, whenever what's his name was the quarterback, got drafted by the Dolphins, Quinn Ewers.
Yeah.
So if Quinn Ewers was that good, if he was, the guy that everybody thought he was so good, everybody in Texas thought he was so good. Would you not think that Arch Manning would have taken that job last year?
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
But I mean, and Arch Manning's played well this year. I never understood
just like the whole annulting thing of.
Oh yeah,
Quinn being Arch being the big.
Well, go back to remember, there were a lot of Texas fans that just crapped on Quinn Ewers, going, Arch should be playing. Arch should be playing. I haven't seen a whole lot. And to your point, John, about whether or not is Sark overrated? Isn't his one big win over Alabama
yeah?
What other big wins does he have?
True.
I mean, Kirby Smart. Let's give Kirby credit. Like I said, Texas has lost 4 times. Georgia's in the SEC since they joined last year. 3 of those losses have been to Georgia. Kirby Smart's also now 9-0 against top 10 teams inside Sanford Stadium. Now,
yeah,
technically Alabama would be in the top 10, but when Georgia played them, they were outside the top 10. And again, that was a 3-point loss. So even if you want to say Kirby Smart's 9-1 inside Sanford Stadium, that's pretty damn impressive. And I'm just saying, so I thought Kirby and Mike Bobo and Glenn Schumann, I've been critical of Glenn Schumann all year. They coached circles around Sarkisian and his entire staff. 1 penalty for the Georgia Bulldogs. And it was a bad one. Zion Branch, you got to get inside leverage. Don't wrap up the guy. On third down.
They showed it all night on the coverage. It was unbelievable to watch.
Yeah. 9 penalties for Texas. Texas is the 129th worst team, meaning there are only 6 teams in all of college football who have more penalties than Texas. They had 9 tonight.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
That is coaching.
Yes.
Hey, how about the one thing I have to if we're talking about the overreaction show, right there before the half, there was a call. I can't remember what the yardage was, but it was like 3rd and 1, right there before the half, and it was going down to the timeout, and Kirby didn't take the timeout, and he had the opportunity, and then they ran it, and it was really bad, but
dude, Andrew, the entire second quarter, and let me see if JC agrees with me. Georgia's entire second quarter was shit.
Yeah.
The second quarter was bad. Yeah.
I mean, let's call it what it is. We can talk about, 35-10, you killed them. but that second quarter was not good. I mean, at first quarter, you come out 2 drives, 2 touchdowns. Third drive, you pick up 16 yards, but you had a couple 3 and outs, and then on the third quarter, I mean, on to start the third quarter, you get a 44-yard return and then go 3 and out.
Yeah.
So the middle 8, as we like to say, were terrible for Georgia, but the bookends, the first and fourth quarter, 14 points and 21 points. So, yeah. Anyway, sorry, JC. I wanted your opinion, and I talked all over you.
No, but that's a good defense that we played. I mean, their defense is better than their offense, and they stalled out in the middle half trying to run the ball, but it worked as Gunner in play action, 14 completions, 129 yards, 3 touchdowns, 73% just on play action. So
that's phenomenal.
You have to run the ball there. They tried it. Texas has a really good rush D, but look, you broke them in the fourth quarter, and Nate started going crazy too. But it starts with that quarterback.
You're right. I like this comment here. Zion is handsy but stinky in coverage. Yeah, and that's the thing. Georgia has a lot of issues in coverage. I think John nailed it on Dayne Everett. Dayne Everett has given up slants and short passes all year. There have been a lot of anything under 10 yards, he gets burned on. Down the field, he's really good. But short stuff all year, you've been able to get him. Then they would look to see whenever they had Janelle Aguero in coverage, they would attack him. They went after C.J. Allen or Raylan Wilson, which is, again, that's what teams have been doing for the last 2-3 years for Georgia, finding, hey, can we get a linebacker in coverage? Can we go after their star? Or can we get Zion or Kyron Jones or Ja'Cory in coverage? And you attack that. I get that. But when your offense is so good, you can get a few scores on them. Georgia has been able to say, look, okay, we're up 2 scores. So now the other team has to throw to catch up. Then Georgia runs their pressure packages. 3 sacks tonight, boys. 3 sacks last week, 3 sacks tonight.
Yeah,
I don't know what's going on.
3 sacks, but I don't know. I think I completely disagree with both of you guys about Dayne. I think he's improved his draft stock a lot this year. And Georgia's defense is you got to go 12, 13 plays down the field for a touchdown. Kirby's going to give you the short stuff. But the D-line was great and got pressure, but there were times where Arch had a lot of time to throw and those DBs locked down. I mean, since you replaced 20, I think 20 was your weak link, and now DeMello was a star tonight.
DeMello's great.
He played amazing.
That one big play when DeMello friggin' stomped Ryan Wingo was wow.
Tackling and on the ball. I mean, I don't know how you give up 10 points to Texas and say the DBs weren't good. So that's the only thing where and I think once Kyron gets back healthy, then if he ever does, that's the one little hole is that safety spot with Branch and 20. But you get Kyron back, and then I think this defense is really rolling going in the playoffs.
You guys see how Quintavious Johnson has come on and Gabe Harris?
So good.
We were dogging them first 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks of this season, but those guys have really turned it around. Quintavious Johnson, you saw those flashes of it. There was that one series at Auburn where he made a play on 2nd and 3rd down. Then we saw him make 2 plays in the same series against Florida. Then he has a couple big plays tonight. Gabe Harris is starting to get in there. This team from the edges are really starting to round into it. And again, I don't think John was completely crapping on Dayne Everett. It's just there's times where that is your bell cow. That is your best cornerback. And you put him on their best wide receiver, Ryan Wingo, and he gets an easy touchdown. And that's what's frustrating. It's like, who do you put on Jeremiah Smith?
Yeah, but nobody can guard Jeremiah Smith. Nobody can guard Jeremiah.
But you at least want him to be in the same neighborhood.
Well, I'll be honest. Like I expect a DeMello Jones type effort tonight from Dayne Everett because Kirby even said it this week. He is the bell cow. He's the leader on defense. I think the effort and the play that DeMello Jones had tonight was night and day from how Dayne Everett played. If we're being critical.
Yeah, and that's the whole point of the show is it's the overreaction show.
Yeah.
Who was the big one after CJ went out? And so was it Justin to come in?
That was
Chris
Chris
Cole.
Cole, number 9.
Yeah.
Well, remember,
somebody showed out, and it was awesome to watch.
we do have not much of an update, but Terry Thea 3780 wants to know how CJ Allen. What I saw earlier from the press conference was Kirby Smart said that he's dealing with a knee issue. He was sent for an MRI. They're not sure exactly how bad it is. So,
I'm a Braves fan. I've heard too many times of a guy's arm hurting and going to get an MRI to think that's good news.
Yeah. Kirby Smart says CJ Allen is dealing with a knee injury. He was taken to get an MRI, but Smart hasn't heard about the results yet.
Yeah.
But look, when you see the head trainer and the assistant trainer go with him into the locker room, that's never a good sign. Never, ever.
He's been the best player on the defense by a mile. So you lose him.
Scary.
That's
Scary.
That's very, very tough to bounce back from.
Here's the thing, though. So Charlotte's going to be a cakewalk. And that is a god-awful team. They're terrible. But how do you guys feel about going in against Georgia Tech, a team that almost lost to Boston College, which was, 1-8? They're 1-9. I know it's Georgia Tech, and I know they're going to, after that 8 overtime game last year and how close they've come a couple times, how badly Brent Key wants to win this one. But I'm looking at this Georgia offense that just dropped 35 points on a Texas team that was only allowing 16 points a game. Georgia doubled that. And this, and Georgia, again, the second and half the third quarter was not firing on all cylinders. This is a team that scored every time they touched the ball against Ole Miss. They boat raced Mississippi State. I'm thinking that Georgia Tech game may not be nearly as challenging as we originally anticipated.
No, he can say respect 100 times, and I guarantee he does respect Brent Key. But they've kept receipts. They kept receipts from last year. Georgia Tech. I mean, I think it's completely different. And I know Pitt got run today, but Georgia Tech don't have a cakewalk next week either. I mean, they're not playing Charlotte next week.
True.
They're playing Pitt.
Oh, okay.
Are they playing Pitt next week?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Hey, Roddy, I know Larry Munson's going to roll over in his grave by me saying this, but we need to be the biggest A&M fans there are. Georgia does not need to play in that game. And I hate to say that.
The end of that game today, oh my goodness.
But nothing will come good out of Georgia playing in the SEC championship. And I hate to be that way, but there's nothing good that can come out of it.
We were this close to playing the SEC championship today.
Yeah, I'm saying if Shane Beamer wasn't such a Cabbage Patch Kid, I mean that's a dude.
That was the worst play calling I've ever seen. Like, oh my God, they should shoot him to the moon.
But just think about this: you're gonna have. It's probably, if you play South Florida, it's probably going to be the 3:30 game. Hell, it may even be the noon. But you're gonna have a playoff game.
They got beat by Navy.
So I don't know who they'll play then.
James Madison.
Is that really who it'll be?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
James Madison. What, maybe North Texas?
They got beat by Navy. Who would Georgia play as the 5 seed?
That's what I'm saying. He's saying James Madison. Oh my gosh!
Oh God!
But here's the thing. Again, when you go to bed tonight, last thing you think about, and I see we got the historian waiting too. Alabama lost at home. Georgia beat a top 10 team at home. You'll sleep well tonight, boys. But the Dogs will move up to number 4.
Okay. And stay there.
If they don't play in the SEC championship, as John doesn't want them to, let's say they don't make it, you got that perfect bye. And you don't play a game in which you lose your punter and your quarterback. So yeah, you don't win the SEC title, but you like the fact that you get to play James Madison in Athens. That'll be nice.
Maybe that'll be the Friday night game since it's Georgia. Well, it's probably be the noon game. It's all right. That's a playoff game in Sanford Stadium. So
Yeah, I think they'll want to get views on that, probably make it the night game. But that's the thing right now. With Bama now gone, you go to 4. Texas Tech will jump you when they win their conference championship. But then you get the 5 seed. Every team with a bye last year lost. So now you
Yeah.
get
So,
get
Graham, what
5.
happens? What happens if
Prep team.
A&M gets beat at home, or Texas beats A&M?
Then we're in.
Georgia goes.
I want Bama again. I'm with you, Roddy. I want another crack at those guys.
Again, I'm fine for Georgia not playing in that game, but I would like to see
We're a different team.
Yeah, you really are. And again, I'd like to see them play with this offensive line.
Well, the way they played tonight, I mean, damn.
And again, this wasn't Georgia's best offensive effort. This was a good Alabama. I mean, good Texas defense. I don't think that the Alabama defense is as good. So,
Do you really believe that, Roddy?
I mean, hell, they just lost.
No, yeah, true. It's crazy to watch it. I mean, wow. This is the crazy part of the SEC, man. It's, oh my God, tonight was crazy.
Who knows? Maybe Alabama loses to Auburn and you play Texas A&M in the SEC championship game.
Right. Then you go Georgia A&M.
That I'd love to see.
Right.
I'd love a shot at that. Oh, you haven't played anybody.
Yeah, go play Georgia's defense. And all
don't you meet
together
Juan?
watching us
This
play,
guy's
I
name's
thought we
Juan
played
Gaston.
awesome tonight, so.
KKC says, how can UGA be number 4 without playing the SEC championship game? You'll be ranked 4 on Tuesday, and you just stay there. So.
Texas Tech.
What happens? The whole committee says you're never punished for when you play in the SEC title game, but are you or aren't you?
Oh, hell yeah. Look, Georgia was number 1. They played in the SEC title game. They dropped to 6. That's back when only 4 teams got in.
Well, we can even go back until in 2023 when we were number 1, lost and didn't get to play for it all.
That's what I was referring to. They were 1, and they didn't drop a couple. They didn't, and they played a top team.
Nobody in the country wanted to let Brock Bowers, Ladd McConkey get healthy for 4 weeks and play. Not a chance.
Well, I mean, after they had won back-to-back titles, they're like, we need to see somebody else. So they dropped you behind FSU, who barely won their game. So, yeah, to your point, I do not believe that you're not supposed to be punished for playing in the SEC in your championship game, but you are. You absolutely are. And if Georgia wins last year, they win the title, but what happened? You lost your starting quarterback and your punter. So even if you win it, you're still punished.
Hey, Roddy, what was some of that tonight? What was some of that punting tonight? Was that strategic, or was he just punting?
No. So here's the Niblett is maybe the best returner in college football. This is a guy who's already returned 2 touchdowns. So they told him, "Hey, Brett, do not kick to him." Yeah. So Brett's trying to punch it as high into the air, high and short, or not really short, but you want a lot of hang time, and he missed on 2 of them.
What the hell is going on?
Well, it was like he was getting 20-yard returns anyways with how bad those kicks were. Kick the ball out of bounds. You're supposed to be an all-American punter. Like, he has not been the same this year as he was last year since the injury.
Well, and I want to say, remember when Georgia kicked off in the fourth quarter, Georgia kicks off and not the fake punt. Niblett has a chance to return it. They drop his ass at the 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Texas goes 3 and out, has to punt. Georgia gets the ball on the Texas side of the field, punches it right in again. That was the dagger. I know we can talk about the onside kick being the dagger because you have an 11-point lead and then you go down and score again. But when you keep them deep, you kick them deep, and then they can't get the punt out worth a damn. And then that, to me, I'm like, oop, there's the ball game. And sure enough, Georgia punched it in. Now you've got a 18-point lead. It's over. It's over.
I missed some of the conversation whenever we were talking about the onside kick, but and I apologize for it, but oh my God, is that not the greatest thing you've ever seen?
So before that, they had the 4th down call, and I said that was ballsy, absolutely ballsy. Then they went for it on 4th and 5,
Yeah.
even ballsier. So I'm like, that's ballsier question mark. Then the crazy kick, your kick right there on the onside kick. Oh, that was the ballsiest.
Yeah.
So if you had to rank them, that 1 minute or 2 minutes of football play, Kirby Smart he said, we need to be aggressive. Have you guys ever seen Kirby Smart that aggressive?
Put his nuts in a barrel. Put his nuts in a barrel, dude.
But honestly, that's what he tried to do against Alabama on that 4th and 1 call.
Yeah, you're right. You're exactly right. That's exactly what he tried to do, and it didn't get executed in the best way.
But these did. So I got a question for you guys, though. On that 4th and 5 where Texas jumps off sides, they throw a pass interference call, and they just mauled
they grabbed Noah. They grabbed Noah, right?
So I'm not a rules guy, but did they just wave off the pass interference because it was offsides, or
they didn't?
I could swear that you could have
you had to pick one of the two, right?
They didn't want the Texas fans to throw trash onto sandpaper.
There you go.
Well, he said there
wasn't enough Texas fans to throw trash on the field because they're all terrible.
But the referee said there was no foul for pass interference.
But
there was though.
There was. It was. How could you not do that? He freaking tackled the guy.
He was grabbing Noah.
Yeah. So he's got his arms wrapped around his body, and they're like, "Oh no, that's not passive." So my thought was, wait a minute. Is there somehow that the offsides negates anything that happens after that?
Hey, Radi, what did Coach say in that moment? Because I mean, wow.
Well, that's it. I think we were all confused as to what the hell was going on there. We're like, why is there not pass interference?
So we're here in Franklin, Tennessee, watching it at the bar, and I'm like, what a call to go for it and 4th down and get not a false start, but then get him on the call that they got. Like, wow.
That was a tough call there, and I thought that the tight end wrap for that 4th touchdown was brilliant. And you see the Lawson Lucky wide open in the end zone. They both come around the edge. Gunner hits him there. And let's give a shout out to Lawson Lucky. The guy, when he got hit last week, he did not remember catching that ball.
Yeah.
That's how hard he had his bell rung.
And I don't know how
7 days later.
I don't know how the stuff works with College Game Day, but his story on College Game Day today was teary-eyed, dude. It was awesome.
Tear-edger.
Was freaking awesome. Lawson Lucky he's a damn good fucking dog, dude. I'm super happy that he's on our team.
Yeah, again, it's he's tough, and shout out to Oscar Delp. I remember week 2, week 3, we were on the same show. John might have been on, or JC. And I said Georgia has a bunch of average ass tight ends.
Yeah.
They were not spectacular. They weren't. And again, I'm not going to compare anybody to Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers is a generational player, but I'm like, you guys aren't Orson Charles. You're not Aaron White. You're not Arthur Lynch. Because they were missing blocks.
Hey, JC, I got to ask you this. You and I were both on the Sunday call with Eddie and all them. You said that you didn't believe that Georgia could win a national title. After tonight, do you believe Georgia could win a national title?
I said from the beginning, I believe that they could. And my biggest pushback in the middle of the season, like as they stood now, it's like Kirby teams are never what they are in September as they are in November and December. This team can beat any team in the country because they have the best coach and they have the best coach quarterback combination. And Mike Bobo, you can give me all this cute shit with Lane and Sark with their wide receivers. What Bobo does with the tight ends, no offensive coordinator does in the country. And that's what defense aren't ready for. No defense has played a team that's going to roll out 3 tight ends like Georgia and going to throw them in your face, running and passing.
When they brought in Riddell, Coach Donnan called it immediately. He says, okay, this is going to be a watch this tight end wrap. And that play has been money for Georgia. And here's the thing. You can run it with Riddell, who's super fast, but you can also run it with Delp and Lucky and Elias Williams.
And they ran that side route for Elias, and it didn't work. But damn it, we got to keep running more of that.
He's going to be good. So my point is, I don't say I crapped on the tight ends, but I was like, hey, they're average tight ends. About 3 or 4 games ago, all of a sudden you saw them going down and just bodying people, laying them out, and they turned the corner. Now they are an absolute asset, and they are brutal.
100%.
And it still doesn't feel like it did when you had Darnell Washington and Brock Bowers together. But when you see 4 and 7 on the field, you're like,
Yeah, but
this
don't
will be
you
fun.
see,
Let's see
don't
what
you
we do
see,
now.
even with the Darnell thing, which Darnell was awesome, and he ran routes down the field too. But don't you see the ability to run tight end routes down the field with Oscar and Lucky? Like it's
And Elias
really,
and
really,
Jaden.
really good. So let me counter that. Roddy, let me ask you this. And JC, let me ask you this. After tonight, can Georgia win a national title?
Yeah, you got to get it. You get in. Anybody's got a chance. You get in.
I'll put it to you this way. It's what we saw last week and what we saw this week. Georgia's defense is flawed.
100%. Yeah.
It's flawed. I mean, it's not a typical Kirby Smart defense. This offense is legit. And again, they scored 35 points on a tough team that's only given up 16. And the number 2 rushing team in the defense, Georgia ran for 130-something yards on them. They can do that against that very good Ohio State defense. I know they could do it against Indiana. I know they could do it against Texas A&M.
Yeah.
This offense can win you a game. But my only hesitation is that old adage, defense wins championships.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to get into another game like you did against Ole Miss. Remember, Ole Miss scored 5 touchdowns in a row.
Yep.
On 5 straight possessions. I could see Ohio State doing that. I could see some other team doing that. I just don't want to be in a situation where you are demanding that your offense never miss. And I fear that if you get deep into the playoffs, you might run into that situation. Now, with the defense coming on, you saw even with Ole Miss, they only needed 1 or 2 stops. They've been able to shut out Alabama in the second half, Auburn in the second half. This defense can be much better than we're giving it credit for. So, yes, they can win it. I'm not going to bet on them to because I want to see more out of the defense. But offensively, I would put this offense up against anybody in the nation.
But
they probably could outscore anybody.
Yeah, it was super fun to watch our offense tonight to get out to a kickstart, and then our defense play off that.
Yeah. It took them a while, but they got there. So I'm with you there. Put Branch in bubble wrap.
But damn it, dude. Oh, my God. Till the day I die, I will always choose Kirby Smart. I mean, look at Sark. You lost again, dude. You're 0-3. You're 0-3, bro. You think you're good, and you're not.
Yeah. So the Texas after show just ended, just like the game. The Dogs outlast to win in the 4th quarter. Hey, you ain't going to be able to – our post-game overreaction shows go, baby. You're not going to be able to keep up with us.
Yeah.
Kyle,
to beat his ass, too.
He's gone. I'm telling you, he's gone.
Think he's going to the Titans?
He's gone. He's going somewhere.
Dude.
Why would you go to the NFL, though?
Well, first of all, I don't believe the BS that when he came out and said, I believe he was throwing his name out there. And
dude,
I just
no reporter's going to
Is he the same agent as Kirby? Is it Scooter?
I'm sure.
Whatever. Who cares? But yeah.
He can't have another year like this.
Look, you have a situation where
weird.
Look, so that reporter came out and said that Sark's looking at NFL teams, and then his agent and them come out and say stuff like that never happens. Look, no reporter in their right mind is going to leak something like that unless they have it from a very, very good source. So that's just
Jimmy Sexton, Christmas is coming up. This is the time where he gets coaches paid. So even if Sark doesn't leave,
Jimmy
of course
Sexton,
he's going to put his name out there. So get a raise at Texas to stay.
Then they're going to run him out.
Said Crowell, we're going after Terry, right? Yeah. When he leaves, let's get him and Wingo and get the whole 9 yards. So
No, we need to throw every dollar at Cam Coleman. Every dollar.
Oh, yeah. The dude from Auburn. Yeah. 100%.
He'll be at Ohio State, but.
Hey, how about maybe somebody talked about this and I missed it, but like we got some damn pressure after Arch tonight. That was awesome to watch.
And you know where I want to give a little bit of that credit to for the pressure they used. Now, and granted, Texas has given up pressures. That offensive line, they were worried about it. If you talk to anybody at Texas, they're like,
I thought they were supposed to be the best.
No. They were really worried about their offensive line versus Georgia's defensive line. But I want to give Glenn Schumann some credit for digging into his bag and drawing up some schematic things. It's like, look, here's the twist we're going to run. Here's the stunts we're going to run. Here's some exotic pressures. And what makes that possible is when you know that they have to throw. Georgia's run defense was strong enough to get them off schedule. So they're looking at a 3rd and 12, a 3rd and 8,
Yeah.
You don't know what's coming on 2nd and 2.
Well, do you guys remember last year in Austin, we were blitzing corners off the edge. We were doing that early and continued it tonight.
Yeah.
Like it was the same defense, and Sark, he did not try to. I mean, he didn't get it together. So I mean, good for Kirby Smart, dude. But you
can't do that this year because you don't have the cornerbacks to do it, and you don't. I mean, last year you had Michael Williams coming off the edge, Jalen Walker, Malachi. You had the guys that you could do that. This year you couldn't quite take those chances.
But Q tonight, 33, he played awesome tonight, dude.
Sophomore too. I mean, you have get in 3rd and long, and Zayden's coming onto the field. Elijah popped. I mean, you had like 4 or 5 like sophomore freshmen that were really flashing. And
wait, who is number 10? Is 10 Walker kid the freshman?
Zayden Walker.
Yeah, he was on the field tonight. I saw
he was a lot.
Yeah, so somebody's coming on the field and showing it, and Kirby's putting him in. And so, you know what? If you're playing the biggest games, that's why you come to Georgia. Welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Hey, Andrew, I'm going to let you go here.
Yes, sir. Right. Hey, go Dogs. Love you guys.
See you, Andrew. Appreciate it.
Hey, Radi. I'm going to leave you with it, man. Hey, I would say this, though. I'll give credit where credit's due. Mike Bobo's had a hell of a year. He really has. I mean, no BS. He really has.
No, I'm with you. I remember you guys have been with me, and I say it every time. I get accused of being a Mike Bobo defender, and I'm like, I really don't care. I've said it 1,000 times that the best thing that could happen at UGA Sports is a coaching search.
Yeah.
For a new coordinator, offense, defense, whatever. So, but I also know when you call a 4th and 1 and it's the right call and somebody fucks it up, then that's not on your offensive coordinator. Now, and I will also say there were 3 run plays, or there was a series of 3 plays in the second quarter. I'm like, those were stupid. What the hell are you doing? I don't get those. So I call it like I see it, but objectively, Georgia's averaging 33 points a game. Very tough schedule. They just dropped 35 on the number 10 team in the nation. The team has gotten better on offense each and every week, and they're peaking at the right time. They're going to drop 56 on Charlotte next week, and then against Tech, they might put up 40. So, you're right. You got to give Mike Bobo credit and Stacy Searles. As much as everybody hates him, that offensive line has been lights out.
Yeah, so, those 2 freshmen, they may end up being All-Americans for it's all.
They're definitely freshmen All-Americans, or freshmen at least All SEC. And Gunnar Stockton should have won SEC Player of the Week tonight. 5 touchdowns, 83% completion rate.
Yeah.
All right,
y'all have a good one, man. All right.
See you, John. Historian. Sorry, I know you had to wait a while.
It's all right. I have
It's
nowhere
a
to
busy
go.
night, man. It's a busy night. Everybody.
Roddy, I have nowhere to go. So you know what? I'm not even gonna make it too long, but I gotta power up a little bit like we used to do in Mario, Gotta power up like that. Yeah, I got the sounds for you. So
I love it. Hey, folks, y'all tune into Historians Hawk show. I mean, Atlanta Falcons show.
if you're Falcon fans, and even if you're not, even in the off season, we get former athletes to come on and whatnot and talk about their careers. Like I said, Clarence K came on the show, my godfather, and then Buck Baloo's done an episode for me. So trying to get more dogs if I can. But I've had some former NFL and former NBA players too. But what's going on tonight,
man, dude? I was telling the boys,
class.
you like this was a special weekend for Coach Donnan. He's a Oklahoma legend. He was out there with Barry Switzer. They won a national title. When he goes out to Oklahoma, the people line up. They're like, Jim Donnan's here. They love it. He watched his Oklahoma Sooners go into Bryant-Denny Stadium and come out with a win. Then he watched his beloved Georgia Bulldogs browbeat, just beat the brakes off of Texas, 35-10. So Coach Johnson's had some medical issues, but I can guarantee you that man is going to sleep like a baby tonight. It's a double win for him. The Georgia fans who have no love lost for Alabama are very excited about the fact that Oklahoma won, and they watched their Bulldogs take on a very good Texas team and put up points and play good defense. I would never in a million years have imagined that this Georgia secondary would hold Arch Manning, who had 700 yards in the last two games, to 10 total points. Very impressive.
Well, let's be honest. Who have they really played? Let's
Nobody
good. And I'm just gonna be honest. And shout out to Coach Dunning. If you don't know about him, he played at North Carolina State back in the day. So definitely was a solid quarterback back in the day and also a place kicker too. But when you look at what we've had, I can say, to me, I felt the momentum was shifting in the second half, as you saw.
Yeah.
And to me, I feel like the play of the game, it was not the onside kick. It was a 4th and 1 that Gunnar Stockton jumped in the air and he flipped it to Chauncey Bowens to get it. Pretty much.
Fair. Absolute dude.
That was, to me, I feel like that was the momentum shift of the ball game, because at that point, Texas was literally getting us off the field.
They 2 3 and outs and a 6-play drive that only got you 19 yards. So went 3 and out, 6 plays for 19 yards, 3 and out. So I'm with you there. Extending that drive was huge. And I also want to give credit on that first drive when Georgia drives down the field. We can talk about all the plays on that one, but Georgia was facing a 3rd and 10, and they hit Dylan Bell for an 11-yard pass.
Yep. And here's the crazy part. We sit back and we look at that, but the only issue I had, and this is, like you said, it's an overreaction show.
Oh yeah.
When Nate Frazier was eating in this game, do not take him out of the game. Let him run until they stop him. They had no answer for Nate. And I felt like this should have been one of his, appreciate that. I'll make sure I let him know or whatnot. But you got to feed him. Yeah. You got to feed him when he's hot. You don't stop the hot hand. So that's just my thing. But I think,
dude, they always do that. So if a guy runs for 17 yards, they take him out. He completes a pass, 35 yards, take him out. It's the last 5-6 years, every time. Hell, I go back to James Cook. Every week we would say, okay, hey, and we had this running gag, or not a gag, but it was a prediction each week. Coach, who's your mouth-watering player of the week going to be? Who is your breakout player? And Coach Donna would always nail who was going to be before anybody else. And for weeks, hell, it seemed like for years, I would say, this is James Cook's breakout game. They'd feed him. And he'd go out there, they'd put him, and that's nothing against anybody else that's on the field with him at the same time. But I'm like, just feed the man. And then he'd break off a 35-yard run. And here comes number 4 right out of the game. I'm like, what? He's not tired. And they do the same thing with the wide receivers. They do the same thing with the running backs. And I get Chauncey Bowens is no slouch.
Nope.
When Nate Frazier drops 181, Nate Frazier didn't start.
And the thing is, you got 2 good running backs because, okay, a week that a team prepares for one, they forget about the other one. And if you ever pay attention to it, okay, if you stop these 2, guess who else you need to start using a little bit more of? We haven't seen in a couple of weeks Josh McCray. We haven't really fed him like we were in the beginning of the season.
You're right. He got in a little bit tonight. They ran a power I, and I thought they were going to run 57.
Remember the fake handoff that they gave him that set up that pass. That quick flip out to Cash Jones or whatnot, if you remember. So I look at it from a standpoint of, I think we have a lot of great weapons. I just think, to me, I think Kirby does not want to expose all of that. That's just me. And I think he pulled the reins back a little bit with the offense, because if you pay attention to it, how many sets and formations did you see out of 23 personnel, out of 12 personnel, when Mike Bobo was actually cooking? It was a lot of things that he was using that you don't see. Think about it. Look at the misdirection passes that we were running. We're faking the toss sweep, or we're faking jet sweep. We're rolling gunner to the weak side, dropping it off and letting our playmakers go. Pay attention to that. How many times have we seen that often this year? Or that deep shot that he took down the field where he faked the handoff. Now, Ant Hill just made a hell of a play when he picked him off. That was just, Ant Hill is going to be playing on Sundays. Yeah. I pray that they bring him to Atlanta and let him be a middle linebacker, if you want to be honest.
Well, here's the thing. When you had a overly aggressive Texas defense, Mike's like, okay, we're going to change the launch point.
Agreed.
They're coming up. We're having issues. They are selling out. And we saw that at the end of that next to last drive in the second quarter. At the end of the second quarter, Kirby, when he came off, he actually talked about it. He's like, there was that series of 3 plays where Georgia gets to midfield and then just gets nothing. And I'm like, hey, they sold out. They took some chances. They were overly aggressive. The exact same thing that Marshall did, the exact same thing that Austin Peay did. You can send extra bodies, and if it works, you look like a genius. If you miss, it's a huge gain. And for a while there, they were hitting. And in the third quarter, you were having some issues. They were just stifling everything you did. They were really aggressive. And Mike Bobo, to your point, he's like, we're going to do a little half roll here. We're going to change our formations a little bit. We're going to give them something to think about and catch them. And so I'm with you. That was some of those formations, and there's still so much they can do. And some of the stuff they saw in the first half, they're like, okay, on that, like the double tight end wrap, it's like they didn't send anybody over when we ran that in the first quarter. They didn't send anybody. We only picked up 3 yards because Gunner kept it.
Yep. And there was only 2. And to me, I feel like there was only 3 miscues in the game that Gunner had. The interception.
Yeah.
There was one play where he should have just kept it instead of giving it to Bowens, and he got smashed. And then there was a play where he took it and he literally got crashed down.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like,
who are you reading there, son?
I got something I wanted to show you a little bit before I head on out. I wanted to bring this in for my fellow Georgia fans.
Okay.
You guys might remember these jars from back in the day. The Muggo Nuts. Yeah. Classic Georgia. I got to show you a little something. So I had to bring that out. And of course, you see the painting in the back. Jalen Carter, Devin Willock in the back as well. I'll bring it up so you guys can see it, because I wanted to show it to you last time, but I didn't get a chance to. And just, we got a good night. Just wanted to show a little something for the folks here. My man Anthony Foster created this for me.
Oh, that's nice.
So rest in peace to Devin Willock, Jalen Carter, Christopher Smith, and of course, Stet the Jet, a.k.a. the GOAT, and Kirby. And then we have Harry Dog at the bottom. So shout out to my guy, Anthony Foster. I promised him I would show it next time I came on your show. But because he was like, hey man, I see. He said, and he's a dog fan, even though he's in Philly. He's a dog fan. He said, man,
Yeah.
he said, you need to show my artwork so you can help me get some more business. I said, man, I got you. So, but the funniest thing, Roddy, before I go, there's, you know how they have spaces on X. Texas fans are crying today. They're crying about pretty much the calls. They were like, oh, they called all these penalties on us. Like, y'all were holding the whole game. We saw that. It was obvious. No,
hell, actually, they got away with a few holds that were pretty bad.
And remember, it was bad.
They waved off a pass interference call. We're still trying to figure that one out.
It was bad because Herb Street even said that, and Herbie don't get involved with calls like that.
No.
And lastly, here's the other thing. I sent you a poster of a troll picture. You know, I do my own artwork. I sent a picture and I posted it on X for you. So on your next show, you can definitely show the folks pretty much Kirby's Butcher Shop, aka home of the Bevo special. That's what we call that piece that I just created. So
hey, did you notice the new do on Glenn Schumann?
Yeah, he shaved the beard, got a fresh haircut.
Got a fresh little high and tight, little fade going up there.
I think Schumann's wife probably said, "Look, I know you sitting up here at this facility, but if you want to come back in this house, you can't look like a hobo. You got to fix that." But I appreciate you for having me on, my guy. Definitely.
Definitely my pleasure, man. Definitely my pleasure. Sir. A lot of people want to know about want to watch the Texas postgame show. Hey. I will say that is one of the best things about being a member of On3, being a member of UGAsports.com. You can go read the other message boards.
Mm-hmm.
And now, if you went to read the Mississippi State board last week, they weren't shocked to lose. You know, they were just happy that they'd won the week before. But I guarantee you right now, if you go to Inside Texas,
yeah,
that place is losing its damn mind. Go read the Alabama board, Bama Online, one of the biggest message boards around.
But the best thing about this whole thing, Roddy, is the fact that, and I'm Gunna won me over tonight. This was the game that he won me over because I told you I got to see a whole body of work.
Yeah,
five touchdowns today, 4 in the air, and all you can do is just sit back and just say this about Gunna.
And he can pass.
Just like Boobie Miles' uncle said in Friday Night Lights. 4 touchdowns in the air and 1 on the ground. Give him his trip to New York, folks.
Hell, dude, you got to put him in the conversation. I mean, he's got his team at number 4. They're number 5 now. They'll be number 4 because number 4 just lost.
Mm-hmm.
And you got teams who aren't as good blowing their quarterbacks up, going, well, he's going to win the Heisman, but he's definitely in the race. I'm like, screw these guys. You also got to win. He's got his team at number 4 in the nation with a very suspect defense, you know?
And I wouldn't even say suspect. I would say we have a young defense that's starting to figure it out now because it's clicking. And then got to give a shout out to KJ Bolden. 2 major most people, I don't know if you mentioned it earlier.
I did not. No one brought up KJ Bolden.
He saved 2 touchdowns, by the way. Okay. 2 touchdowns tonight. Because again, when you look at
tell me what happened, because I don't remember. I'm not doubting you, I just don't remember it. But then we have another sponsor on the show, and I drink a lot of beer, so.
No, I understand. Ryan Wingo, he caught from behind because Wingo had a crease.
Right,
he caught him.
That's right.
And then it was your guy, what's old boy's name? Niblet. He also caught Niblet. And Niblet had a crease and he caught him and pulled him down.
That's huge.
If he doesn't make those 2 tackles, that's 14 points on the board, and that changes the swing of the game and the momentum if he doesn't make that.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody talks about the interception, but the interception, it was nice to have, but those 2 touchdown saving tackles kept 14 points off the board. So
yeah, and then Georgia did nothing with that interception.
Unfortunately.
They went 3 and out and then punted it 26 yards.
But the defense came through.
Yep.
We're finally starting to get pressure, and I like that kid Horton. Horton is starting to really step out.
Yeah.
Made a couple of big plays outside of Elijah Griffin, and I think he gets a little overshadowed sometimes.
Josh Horton, 81, is coming on, and this was the first time I've seen Jaden Harris play, the safety transfer from Miami. And he had remember, he's the one that had the tackle when you kicked it to Niblett, and he drops him on the 10-yard line. And I was saying that to me was the dagger, because you drop them on the 10, they go 3 and out, they punt it to you, and all of a sudden you look at Zachariah Branch, returns it. He's on the plus side of the 50. Short field, Gunnar Stockton takes him down. They score that game. They called game. So just broke any semblance of hope that Georgia would have back. So it feels good because I've said for 9 weeks, Georgia went 0 for 3 in the transfer portal at safety.
Mm-hmm.
Zion Branch, no. Jaden Harris, no. I even forgot the other one. He's from Conyers.
Maddox. That's the kid.
Yeah,
who came
Adrian Maddox, who went to Heritage.
Maddox.
Heritage was Rockdale. I went to Rockdale County High School. Heritage is our diehard arch rival. He went to Heritage. I gave him all sorts of crap when he was being recruited by Georgia. He gave it back to me. It was very fun. He's a sweet kid. Love him to death. He just he hasn't panned out. But if all of a sudden you can get some special teams plays from Adrian Maddox or Jaden Harris, or like you say, Josh Horton. Remember, Josh Horton comes up with a batted pass against Ole Miss.
Ole Miss, and that sealed the game.
It did. I was about to say that was the game ender right there. So, and your first 3 touchdowns were all to transfers. Noah Thomas comes on, catches the first 2. Then London Humphreys. The transfer portal giveth and the transfer portal taketh away. Georgia's missing some guys on defense, but the guys they've brought in on offense, of course, Zach Branch doing his thing.
I just love, and it's just the funniest thing. I hope that most people understand it, that it's just in that boy, it's in that boy's DNA.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at what his bloodline is, come on. Yeah. Cliff Branch, one of the most underrated receivers that it took forever for him to get in the Hall of Fame. And he was a small guy like Branch and played in an era where you could actually hit receivers coming across the middle. Zach has that same toughness that his great uncle has. Because think about it. You saw him catch a pass and he got tagged a few times tonight. Good solid shots. But he also showed the breakaway ability in the kick return game tonight.
True.
And that is going to be huge once we get to the playoffs, because you win next week, 10 games is going to get you in the playoffs. That gets you in. I just want the home game. You know, the SEC championship, I mean, if we got to play in it, it is what it is. But I would prefer to have the home playoff game and us playing at James Madison at home. I like our chances.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. I'm not excited about the Bulldogs having a long break. The way they're developing each week. Again, Lawson Lucky last week goes from being damn near knocked out to scoring a touchdown. Sometimes when you have those long layoffs, it didn't work out well. Every team that got a bye last week or last year, like Georgia did, every team that got a bye lost.
Man. But we also had more injuries than all those other teams too.
Very true. Very true.
And lost a starting quarterback
and a starting punter.
And had a guy, and Gunnar Stockton didn't turn the ball over. He pretty much is what he's doing now.
Yeah.
Did in that game. He had over 200 yards passing, just no touchdowns. So I can't be mad at him because now he's showing up. And he's definitely got everybody in this team, in this locker room, galvanized. And I'm okay with saying I can eat crow and say, you know what? Yeah, I'm a Puglisi guy, of course. But you know what? Gunnar is my quarterback. Yeah. I love Ryan Puglisi, but Gunnar is my quarterback. He won me over because of the fact he showed out.
Oh, he's absolutely showed out. He's a warrior.
Yeah, and he's tough.
He
not
is.
Not TOUGH, TUFF. Tough. That kind of tough.
He's tough as nails. Lawson Lucky too. shout out to Ernest Green. I know Ernest Green's in a hell of a lot of pain with his back. He's still out there fighting.
He had a hell of a block on that run that Gunner had. And be honest with you, even though it was a smaller defensive back, I get it. But at the same time, when's the last time we've seen Ernest Green really look like a steamroller with a red jersey on?
I'm just saying, I've been that guy who pulls on a guard counter.
Mm-hmm.
I go out there and I'm like, and I'm looking for a cornerback.
I would have. I'm a former DB, a free safety and a strong safety. I'm gonna tell you right now.
I'm looking for you, man. I'm looking for that. I'm looking for that free safety. I'm looking for that strong safety. I'm coming around and I'm like, and then you would just away me, step out, and I'm like,
that was his problem.
I'm bringing my 300 pounds at you, and you sidestep me. I'm like, son of a
listen. The way that you stop a freight train is you got to come at it full speed and you got to tag it. In that situation, I love seeing what happened earlier.
Yeah, he ate my hump.
I'm looking. Why did you stop your feet? You got a 300-pound man that has built up his speed pulling, as you said, Roddy. And he literally, and the thing was, he didn't even break stride. He hit him and just kept going. And I was just like, Jesus. But
so I'm with you. But my point is, like you were saying, Rabun County cattle farmer tough. Yeah, he's country tough. You know, he's get up early, go fix the fence. It's he is. I had chores to do tough. You know,
give Drew Bobo his credit, playing with one hand. That's lacerated, playing with that hand, snapping the ball, and literally keeping the middle of that pocket clean.
Yep, he did. They ran a couple twists on him. He picked up one from the inside linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
He had a 2-eye, rolls out. The delay on the mic, sits there and waits, and then comes in late, and Drew just picks him up, and Gunner throws it downfield. I think that was the one to London Humphreys. But anyway, point being, he's played well. And again, they're all banged up, but I'm with you when you say Gunner Stockton has won it. But again, it's each guy coming through. So we got the question earlier, and I'll ask it to you. Do you think this team could win a national championship? And
I think I'm going to answer this quickly for you. I think that we can win a national championship if we are consistent, because we have players on this team, but the way that you do it, you have to limit your defense in exposure.
That's exactly what I said. I mean,
I didn't catch that part of it. I came in a little later, but you have to limit your defense from being on that field for long periods of time, because when they get tired, they make bad mistakes, and those bad mistakes can cost you. So I'm looking at it like this: pretty much control the line of scrimmage, run the football, throw it, get these guys confused. Let your defense rest, because you see what a Georgia defense looks like when it's not tired.
Yeah.
They pretty much, you kept Texas to 10 points today. You did it better than the number one team you did it just as well as Ohio State. But Texas had more rushing yards against them than they had against us. 15 rushing yards today.
Well, was it 15? I saw 19.
I thought it was 15. Unless they got
so they got the ball. So technically they had 23.
Okay, 23. But let's be honest. 83 yards that they've rushed for in 3 ball games against us. 83 yards. And they just got Derek Cooper that they flipped him from us. So you really think if your offensive line can't stop us, you really think he's going to get off on us next year? Okay.
No, I'm with you there. So sorry, Derek. You know,
and your boy Justice Terry, how is he feeling right now?
Or Tyler Atkinson?
Tyler Atkinson. I'm asking because these guys went there. They were, I love Georgia, but I understand. We don't understand kids' financial situation. But it's like, look, you want to get to the league, or are you going to set yourself up? But you still can get drafted out of Texas. They're still putting out great NFL players, but are you trying to win a college championship and be in the runnings for it? That's the question. because they're not doing that over there in Texas like we are at Georgia.
No, yeah, I mean, they've won one big game where they were the underdog. They beat Alabama.
Agreed.
How many other big games has Texas won?
Texas, I'm trying to think. They beat Alabama, but that was when they were in the Big 12. They've got 4 losses in the SEC, and 3 of them come to us.
I'm just saying. That's not exactly impressive. So
no. And Sark's record is just like, and people don't understand this. Sark's record versus top 25 teams is like James Franklin. Awful. Go look.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, I never like to crap on coaches, but I actually tweeted out. I went on the record and said, "Look, Kirby Smart and Mike Bobo have coached circles around Texas tonight. And I don't mean just the onside kick. Schematically on offense, the stuff they dialed up on defense, the formations, the pressures." And I'm with you. I wrote 2 weeks ago when Georgia was facing Mississippi State, or maybe it was a week. No, I think it was Mississippi State. Mississippi State has a good offense. And I said the MVP of the Georgia defense should be Chauncey Bowens.
Yep.
Run him, let him run, let him eat. Keep that. Because remember, Mississippi State has 2 of the top 7 wide receivers in the SEC on the same team. They can throw it. Georgia's secondary questionable. But like if Georgia's running the ball for 3, 4, 5 yards a carry, those guys are sitting on the sideline. Little did I know it was going to be Nate Frazier to run for 181 yards. So conceptually, we were right, just like you're saying. So when people say, can Georgia win the championship? I'm like, yes, if your offense punches it in, keeps the ball, keeps the defense on the sideline. Basically what Ohio State was a few years ago. Ridiculous offense, adequate defense, and you score. Right now, the way this Georgia offense looks, yeah, you can win a title, but I'm with you. They have to cover up I don't say a bad defense, but a defense that's not up to the Kirby Smart standard. So, yeah, they can win it. I just hate to be in a shootout each week. And
well, we know we can be in a shootout because we have the weapons and we got bullets in the chamber. It's not like last year where we led the country and think about it. We led the country in drops and still won the SEC championship game and did it convincingly by running the football. So again, at this point, I trust this team right now to be able to win games. And when their number is called, they step up. Like, I'm going to be honest with you, Radi. I think this might be the close, and I'm not calling them the 1980 Georgia Bulldogs. I'm not disrespecting those guys like that. But the one thing that's similar to that team, because my godfather said it, you can look at the documentary of what they have on YouTube talking about the 1980 Dogs. They said we didn't have all of the greatest athletes, but guess what we had? We had a team unity, and when our number was called, we stepped up and performed. Biggest thing with the Dogs now, think about it. Herschel goes down with an ankle injury in 1980. Carney Norris, Poochie steps up and has a hell of a game against Ole Miss. It's the same thing that happened when Chauncey Bowens got slowed down. Nate Frazier's having a hell of a game. So this is a team where I think God rest his soul, I think Irk Russell and Coach Dooley would love this team because of the grit and the fight that they have.
Yeah, and that's when Kirby Smart comes out and says they're hard to kill. Yeah, and you saw these guys play for each other, which is rare. I don't think folks understand when Kirby says we're looking for fire, passion, and energy, and they say next man up mentality. We all just kind of roll our eyes thinking this is coach speak. But when he talks about the connection these guys have, it's legit. And they play harder for Gunnar Stockton than they did for Carson Beck. They play harder for Nate Frazier than maybe they did Travis Etienne. I'm not crapping on Etienne. You know how much I like him. I'm just saying these guys are, even though we are at the culmination of that mercenary mindset in college football, these guys are connected. They like each other. And here's the thing. I'll say that I hear about fights in practice.
That's brotherly love right there.
I hear
You
about,
get in a fight with
I
your
hear
brother
about
and your cousin.
cliques. You know, these 4 guys hate these 7 guys. You know, you have cliques on a football team. You have 125 kids, you're going to have cliques. This guy hates this guy. This guy slept with this guy's girlfriend. I hear all sorts of stuff like that. I'm just telling you, when Kirby Smart came out early and said, we have real connection, he wasn't lying. He wasn't trying to put a sprinkle rose water on this team to make them smell better. He was like, look, I don't know if we're going to win or lose, but I love how these guys play for each other. And you're seeing that. You got guys fighting for positions, fighting at the same spot. The tight ends hang on each other. The running backs who are fighting for carries are on it. The wide receivers are knocking the hell out of defensive backs so that their other wide receivers can score. Give me a team that fights for each other, like you're saying.
Yeah,
they can beat anybody. Now, here's the thing: they can be beaten.
Yeah,
there's some flaws, but they won't go. They will not turn on each other when they lose.
No, because that
I can't say that about the 2021 team.
I don't know. I would say I don't know, because that 2021 team, after they got beat by Alabama in that SEC championship game, they were all on a mission. And when you talk about
they won
that brotherhood that those boys, it was something. I'm gonna be honest with you. The 2021 Dogs reminded me of the 2001 Miami Hurricanes back in the day.
Yeah.
Because when you talk about it, they could hit you from anywhere. The difference is the Hurricanes didn't lose, we lost. But when you talk about how much depth was there where you could just throw somebody out there and it was no drop off, that was what that was like. This team, if I got to describe the 2025 Georgia Bulldogs as a prize fighter, I'm a boxing fan, by the way, as well. They remind me of 2 of my favorite fighters, Evander Holyfield in his heavyweight time, and I had to watch footage on him because he retired before I was born. Well, I'm sorry, 3 fighters. I'm sorry. Marvin Hagler, because he was hard to kill, and the other one was Aaron the Hawk Pryor. Those 3, when you talk about blood, guts, grit, and they're hard to kill, and they don't go down without a fight, that is how the Georgia Bulldogs are.
Yeah.
And Daylen Everett, shout out to Daylen Everett. Made some, even though, he got beat on a couple of plays, it happens, but Daylen made some great plays tonight too. So love this team. I love this show, and I definitely appreciate you for having me on tonight, Radi.
Thank you, man. Hey, look, you start talking about marvelous Marvin Hagler, the man who was robbed of winning a title, but
yeah, he was robbed when he fought Vito Arnifarmo, and then
just saying he was robbed.
I still think even though I like Sugar Ray, I still think he beat Ray Leonard that night.
He did.
But Ray just stole points. That was how he won that fight.
I tell you, Ray was pissing blood for about 6 weeks. So
yeah, everybody who has fought that man, and it was just, you knew what you were getting out of that.
Dude, I'm just telling you, the body blows that he threw. Oof. And
Georgia, you know what? Georgia has a chin like Evander Holyfield. They can take your best punch and they're not going anywhere like Holyfield used to. And they got an onslaught that's very similar to Aaron the Hawk Pryor and Marvelous Marvin Hagler. And when they hit you, don't drop. So definitely, I appreciate you having me on. I'm happy as hell right now with the Dogs getting this win. Tomorrow, I got to prepare myself for the.
You'll be so pissed off tomorrow.
Hey, you know what? They might give me something to be cheerful about, but if they don't, I expect it, because, as I said before, now we got the rumors of LaFleur might be coming here if Green Bay let him go. I'm smiling about that right now.
Okay.
And remember this. He's good. He's all right with Jeff Ulbrich because they was all on the staff in 2016. Leave my defense alone. Get him here, or get Clint Kubiak here, please. That's all I'm saying. But
I got you.
Thanks for having me on, buddy. And I'm gonna continue to keep supporting as I always do. Love what you guys do. And shout out to Coach Dunning, man. You definitely deserve 2 dubs this weekend, Coach.
I love it. I appreciate it, my man. See you, historian. Folks, y'all, we got a good man there in the historian to come on here and talk with us. And God bless you for following the Falcons. We're gonna bring on Ben Bachman, but first I need to mention our friends over at Benton and Benton. Bart Benton, I can tell you, I know for a fact this dude is on cloud nine. There's not a bigger Georgia fan that you'll meet. And this guy who goes to Georgia Law School and comes out and he is absolutely dominant in the courtroom. This guy last year collected over $58 million for his clients. $58 million.
Damn.
Look at this scroller. Car accident, $1.7 million. DUI settlement, $970,000. Tractor trailer settlement, $950,000. Dump truck crash settlement, $3 million. This guy doesn't do anything small. So, like premises liability settlement, $4.4 million. Wrongful death, $3.87 million. Now, here's the thing. If I have a wrongful death in my family, I'm going to want to kill somebody. But I'm thinking, what happens if somebody in your family dies and you're like, now I've lost that income, that person, and it shouldn't have happened? Someone says, well, I'll give you $1 million to go away. No, screw you. But when you start factoring what this person meant to your life and what they meant to your household, 4.4, 3.8. It's like, yeah, okay, this person's gone, but they're helping me because I had Bart Benton in my corner and he punished the people who made that happen. So how do you punish? You can't put them in jail, hit them in the pocketbook. And that's exactly what Bart Benton does. So if you're injured, be smart, call Bart. And we want to shout out to him for sponsoring our show. All right, Ben, give me your thoughts on this game.
I think Georgia after tonight has everything it needs potentially to win a national title, because I thought the defense, even though I still, in the first half, my one nitpick about the defense beyond they don't have the edge rushers to get home with 4 is, to me, they give easy yards way too much. Like I remember there was a 3rd and 13, they rushed 4, and I remember I'm like, okay, they're giving them like, oh, here's 8 yards, here's 9 yards. They're just saying, here, take it. That's what Georgia's defense is. I think overall the secondary looks so much better. DeMilo Jones was, when we do game balls, that's like first pick. I mean, he's been improving so much. The secondary, I actually trust multiple players there. I know at inside linebacker, I mean, CJ Allen's your best player on defense. Arguably, you can make a case on your team, and he goes down, and I don't think it looks good from all things. It's not look good on that end. But I look and I go, your defense has gotten better, and your offense, this is like we've been talking about, Roddy. This is the most fun Georgia offense I think Kirby's had. You can say 2022 is a better offense. You can say that. But I think this is the most fun that they've had. They can beat you in many ways. The tight ends, which I've been saying for weeks, Oscar Delpa's the most underutilized player on Georgia because he's open all the time. That's like the only guy I feel like Gunner, whenever he's open, he doesn't hit. And anytime I see a film breakdown, it's like, okay, this Oscar Delpa's open, he's not throwing to him. Every other receiver, when they're open, Gunner's throwing them the ball. So I don't know what that is, but I just know the tight ends can beat you. Zachariah Branch can beat you. Noah Thomas, early in the season, we didn't know if that guy existed or not. We didn't know if he was real. He turns out he is real. And we found that out. So to me, this team is complete now, even though I will say after the third drive on offense until like the middle of the third quarter, Bobo's play calling kind of got conservative. They ran the ball a lot up the middle. It was very basic. But when Georgia got aggressive and Kirby Smart said, you know what, I'm going to lay him on the table, that play calling and execution was pitch perfect. I mean, from that 4th down that they went for it on, they got aggressive. And whenever Georgia was aggressive in that game, they delivered.
No, you're right. He mentioned to the sideline reporter, we have to be aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
And he was. It's this, and here's the thing, people said in that Georgia-Alabama game that Kirby coaches differently. No, this is the exact same style that they had in the Alabama game. But on that 4th and 1, they just missed it.
Right.
Same type of stuff. I'm going for it. And Georgia went for it numerous times the 4th down and were never let off the gas. I'm with you there. There are a couple of calls. And a couple of calls that I'm blaming on Mike Bobo that I'm thinking this was just bad. They were read calls where the Texas defense actually kind of just made a good play. They had a couple of run fits that I don't say they lucked into, but they had the right call. So you're going to go for what it may look like a very boring play. It's like, oh, they're just running here. But the way it's designed, it should pick up 10, 12 yards. But Texas, guess what? they've got good coaches over there too, and they call the right run fits and they stuff you. And then they were getting very good. And Georgia's like, okay, we got to get out of our comfort zone here. Let's start moving our quarterback's point of departure or point of launch. And they started moving Gunner around. And here's the thing, they still didn't run Gunner as much as I expected, but then Texas didn't run Arch as much as I expected. So it's just funny to watch Georgia make corrections. The first 2 drives are great. Texas makes a correction on defense, takes Georgia 4 drives to make a correction on offense. But once they did, they had Texas's number. Some of the plays that didn't work in the second quarter, Georgia went back to them knowing they're like, okay, the tight end wrap didn't work, but it will if instead of going against the grain, we actually go to the tight end. Lawson Lucky's wide open in the end zone. Touchdown. So point being, I think I actually said at halftime, I'm like, this is not going the way. There's some issues here. Georgia, Texas slipped a lot of points. Excuse me. I said Texas will not have another half where they drop so many passes and have so many penalties. At some point, they're going to start catching. At some point, they're going to stop shooting themselves in the foot. But Georgia also left a ton of yards on the field in the first half. And you can say it was Mike Boa, but remember Todd Hartley's up there too. And they're like, oh, they see what you see, Ben. They're like, Oscar Delp's open on that play.
Yeah.
Let's run that play again and hit him. And then, of course, all of a sudden Texas goes too high safety. He's like, okay, well, now he's not open. But we know that there's a dump there to Dylan Bell. And boom, there's a first down. So I'm with you.
Well, actually, Gunner, because you brought up, that Georgia didn't execute where maybe a couple times, especially like Delp's been open on a few occasions, like I've talked about. It was actually the end of the half, because that's where I literally said, I was talking to someone we both know, Penn Hurst, and I said, if Georgia goes up 21-3, this game's over. I felt like when it was hovering 14-3 and they kept punting, I'm like, Texas, you're giving them hope that if they move the ball, that they can get into some form of a rhythm, they have a chance. I said, once it goes 21-3, I go, knowing Sark and seeing how this Texas team has responded this year, I go, they'll know they're dead. And Georgia kind of kept them in it for about an extra quarter or so. But I remember it was the last drive before the half when Gunner did like 2 spin moves. I don't know. That was kind of crazy. He literally spun twice in the span of a second. If he hands that ball off to Zachariah Branch, they have numbers, because they had a block. They had 2 blockers. It was 2-on-2. He just takes it around the edge because he was going to beat the edge rusher. By the way, was going at Gunner, which is why I think Gunner predetermined, like, I'm taking this, because he hadn't run it a lot. At that point, he only ran it 1 time. So I think he thought, oh, they're not expecting me to do a quarterback run here. So he decided beforehand. But if he handed that thing to Branch, Georgia's scoring on that drive, because he's got a chunk gain, and Georgia's scoring on that drive, bare minimum a field goal. So that was one of those times where they left points on the board, in my opinion. And the only thing is with Texas, their offense has scored in both the regular season games, not even including the SEC title game last year. They scored 2 total touchdowns in those 2 games. Each one was off a turnover where they were spotted the touchdown. Both times.
That's a good point.
So,
yeah.
And both, I mean, what the drives were 35 yards or less. And honestly, if Zion Branch, he didn't need to commit that penalty. Even if he got beat by a yard or 2, he had help from KJ Bolton. I think that there's a decent chance that KJ Bolton goes there.
He's just not good.
No, he's not. I don't trust him in coverage. I think one nitpick was when he came from USC. I know Lincoln Riley, a lot of his teams have been soft. I think Zion Branch, like I saw him against the run against Florida, tackle and hit hard, but I just don't think he's very good in coverage. I think he's underrated as a run defender. I don't think he's very good in coverage. He holds way too much and is way
but
too
that's the same thing you have in Kyron Jones and Ja'Cory Thomas and Janelle Aguero. They are all great in run support.
Right.
None of them are good in coverage.
And also, you brought up a point earlier about, Kirby against Alabama. He did go for it on 4th down. I think he plays with the same mindset. The only difference is when you dissect, there were 3 different 4th down calls I remember which were crucial this year. Against Alabama, it was a very predictable 4th and 1. I remember when they lined up quick, and you could tell, I'm like, okay, Georgia's running the ball to the right side on an inside zone with Cash Jones lined up on the left. I go, they're running that play. Once they ran hurry up, I knew they were doing that. On there were 2 other 4th downs today with Bowens, which was very unpredictable. You thought, okay, they're doing a fullback run with McCary, and they had an excellent play called to set it up for Bowens on a play action. And then you remember against Auburn, that 4th down where they did the it was like the triple option play where he flicked it to, I think it was Frazier, which I thought was brilliant. That's the only time Georgia's called that play all year.
They've never
And that
run
was a
the
huge
option
difference maker.
since. Drives me
Yeah,
crazy.
so those two play calls were very creative. I think with the only difference in the Alabama one was they did the predictable play call. They were aggressive. They just had a more predictable play call. That's where I think the difference is. Kirby's mindset's been the same regardless of the game.
But again, there's times where Kirby is, I don't want to say overly aggressive, but there are times where he actually says we have to be aggressive.
Yeah.
And there are times where you go conservative. The conservative boa constrictor death march, 8 minutes and 45-second drive, there's times for that. There's other times where you go, hey, we're going balls to the wall. We're going for it on 3rd and 10, and we're going for it on 4th and 5 because we were facing 3rd and 10 and we picked up 5, and everyone else thinks, okay, hey, we stopped Georgia. They were looking at 3rd and 10. They only got 5 yards. Now they're looking at 4th and 5. No, we're going for it. So You have to be nimble of mind and game plan. Say these are the times we're going conservative, and these are the times we're going ultra challenging. We're going to be very aggressive. And there were times when Texas went aggressive and just shut Georgia's defense down. Georgia's offense down. Like Mr. Wagner here points out, says 6 possessions in a row with a punt or an interception, and Georgia still dropped 35 on them. Yeah, you had 6 garbage drives, but you still scored them. That's why when we're talking about Georgia scored 35 points on a team that has the number 2 rushing defense in the nation and that only gives up 16.4 points per game. You doubled their normal average, and you still had very questionable effectiveness in the middle 2 quarters with your offense. What happens if they're hitting on all cylinders? They're getting better and better. Remember, this was the team when they scored every time they touched the ball against Ole Miss. I knew this was a completely different ball club.
Right.
And then they scored. They've scored 5 times in a row. Then they dragged Mississippi State. This was a team with a good offense. Right now, they dropped 35 points on this team. This was not the best offensive output, but I'm scared to think of what they could be. They could score 70 on Charlotte next week. They won't.
Yeah, they wanted to. I think that game they're probably going to be easy because Bowen's got hurt. I don't know if that's going to be a long-term thing or not. If you had an update on him, but I doubt he probably plays next week.
Yeah.
I think they'll probably be light against Charlotte. It will be a lot of running the ball and trying to mix and match with your offensive line to get maybe you see like Gaston as a freshman get more reps and they don't play Green as much. Maybe stuff like that happens. But I look at this team, Roddy, and like in the middle of the game, they got an interception. They did nothing with that interception.
Yep.
And I remember coming out of the half,
because of what Mike Brown says here, the second quarter towards the end, Gunner missed a couple reads on the option run. Probably should have at least kicked a field goal before the end of the first half. Hey, Mike, you are 100% correct.
Yeah, that was the one where he should have handed it to Branch, and I think there was another time where he could have pulled it. I think he's one of the things with Gunner. I think he's before the game. Before the play, I think he's making a decision before and reacting instead of reacting in the moment. Sometimes I think he's done that a couple times. I think it's probably cost him potentially some bigger plays. But I look in the middle of the game, Roddy, and I saw the interception. You did nothing. I felt like, okay, you just picked – Texas was actually driving, probably having their best drive of the game, and interception. And then you did nothing with it. And then
you went 3 and out and punted at 26 yards.
Yeah, and then what ends up happening is to start the second half, Zachariah Branch is one of the best returns you have all year. You're set up right at midfield.
44-yard return.
And 3 and out, and you end up punting. And Brett Thorson, actually, if there's anybody who I thought played awful today, it was Brett Thorson. I don't know what his punts were. Some of them, I don't know.
I disagree, and not to be facetious here, but I know what he was trying to do. You can't punt to Niblet. He is the best returner in the SEC, maybe one of the best in the country. He's already returned 2 punts for touchdowns so far this year. And I get the idea. I'm going to punch it high, let my guys get underneath it, force him to call a fair catch.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't do that. He kicked him straight up. So two punts under 30 yards. So basically giving the guy a default 20-yard return. So
Yeah,
in other words,
I agree with you on
they were
that.
like, is he injured? Is he wrong? Is he hurt? I'm like, no.
Where's Drew Miller?
He was told, whatever you do, don't let Niblet return it. So it's hard to punt one super high with the distance, and so he missed on 2 punts. Let's call it what it was. But it's not because he's injured. It's because he was told to punt like that. What he wants to do, and we saw this on like the next to last possession, when Georgia punted it, he just leaned into it and kicked the crap out of the ball, like 63 yards. So
Yeah.
he has that ability, but he was told, don't let that guy return it. Special teams matter.
I think the Mississippi State and Ole Miss game, the Mississippi Bowl, I think that made him too rusty. Honestly, I don't think he has enough reps because of those 2 games where he literally he was basically benched. It's still amazing to me. I think they might have punted once or twice against Mississippi State late, but they didn't punt at all against Ole Miss. So I remember he just basically got set in the sidelines the whole game.
So I've mentioned this before earlier in the show, J. Dink 7882. Texas entered the SEC last year. They've lost 4 SEC games since they joined the conference. 3 of those losses have been to the University of Georgia. They have rushed for 79 yards in those 3 games. What are the scores? I don't think they've put up a whole lot of points.
Last year at Texas, Georgia basically blanketed them outside of that interception.
Didn't they double them like 30 to 15?
Yeah, it was something like that. And the crazy thing is Carson Beck was awful in that game. I
He
think
threw 3 interceptions.
He threw 3 interceptions, but Georgia ran all over them. Like ETN, I remember that game. I remember sitting back going, you just need to hand it off to ETN, get field goals, and you're going to win this game. And this year they beat the crap out of them. The SEC championship game, you were down at half by like a field goal.
Somebody look up the scores. So I'd like to know how many points Texas has scored in the 3 games that Georgia's won.
Because the one thing is Sark is, I remember, I forget what podcast I was listening to, but I was listening to somebody and they were talking about Steve Sarkisian and like how he's been coaching all these years, especially now at Texas, and people still don't know what he is. Because you look at him in these big games and his offenses, I mean, you look at him against Ohio State, look at him here. He's 0-5 versus Ryan Day and Kirby Smart. He's lost to Kalen DeBoer every time he's played Kalen DeBoer. I think both times we're at Washington. I mean, he against these big coaches just gets outcoached. And that's one thing where I saw a report a couple weeks ago that, the Tennessee Titans and him as a head coach. I think he wants to be the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. I don't know if the Tennessee Titans want him. I don't, because I think I don't think Texas would fire him given what he's done the last few years and the previous coaches that failed at Texas did far worse in terms of their record. But I don't know what he is, Roddy, to be honest with you, because I think at this point, if I'm Texas,
he's a fraud.
I think that they need a new OC. They need to get someone in there and be like, this guy's calling plays. Because I think his play calling at this point is kind of, I think it's done. Like he's not built to do both.
No, dude, he's not calling the plays. Okay, everyone talks about how Sark calls the plays. I have been told by someone I trust that he is not calling the plays. So, Trevor, thank you, Trevor. He says Georgia was 30-15 in the first game, 22-19 in the SEC championship game. So I'm no genius, but that to me is 34 points, 44 points in 3 games. Texas hasn't scored over 20 points against Georgia in 3
How many
games.
sacks did Georgia have tonight? How many sacks did Georgia have tonight?
3, which means I missed my prop bets. Now, this
Well,
is
so they had 3.
times
I
where
think they had 13. I remember one of the games I knew they had at least 6, and I think another one they had 7 versus Texas. So I think 16 sacks in 3 games. Georgia's averaging like a little over 5 sacks per game against them.
Yeah.
Like
again,
they own Texas.
Georgia's the worst team in the SEC with sacks, but they got 3 last week and 3 this week. This is again the defense is getting a little bit better. I want to. It kind of blows my mind that. I mean, I'm just kind of filling up your point. What is Sark? He's in charge of a Texas team that's pretty loaded, but he can't win the big one. He's like, almost feels like the Texas version of James Franklin.
He kind of does. He can't win big games outside if he won the one game against Nick Saban on the road, and maybe that's his fool's gold.
Yeah, that may be it.
It's kind of like with Shane Beamer, because you were talking about, I know we were earlier on, you guys were talking about Shane Beamer blowing a 27-point lead and like acting like, oh my God, we beat him. The game's over after the freaking first quarter. And I remember they beat, was it the Tennessee team with Hendon Hooker? They were like, they only had the one loss to Georgia, and they were like top 4, and they beat them because they scored 1 million points, because Tennessee's defense really that year wasn't all that great. And everyone's like, oh, Shane Beamer. And now you're kind of seeing like his teams are starting to fall off.
Shane Beamer has one win or one. Every time it's about time to fire him, he comes with one crazy win. Like you mentioned that Tennessee win. I thought today was going to be his job-saving win. Nope. And again,
I'm going to Virginia Tech.
If he had not blown a 27-point lead, Georgia would be in the SEC title game. Georgia would have clinched tonight. But so far they're not. A shout-out to Freedom Van 2970. We appreciate the super chat. He says he's new here, or she says they're new here. Go Dogs. We appreciate you being a part of it. And also shout out to Drew Smith, 8402 for the super chat. I've had people ask me, what do you do with all the super chats? Well, you use them all to keep buying Hunker vodka, which would be great, but I don't. Luckily, the folks at Hunker, they send us, before the season starts, they send us a few bottles. Of course, I've gone through those bottles with this defense has made me, this defense is going to turn me into an alcoholic. I'm just letting you know. So I've burned through the bottles that they sent, but shout out to ASW Distillery for the Hunker bourbon and the Hunker vodka. But what I do, Drew, and folks who give us the super chats, thank you, Freedom Van 2970, is you'll notice like Coach Donnan we wear a headset with a mic, and that was driving him crazy. So I went out and bought a different mic stand and a different mic to put one beside him when he sits and does the watch along show. In other words, every dime folks give us for the watch along show gets reinvested into the show. So
yeah,
I would love to take the money and go buy a steak, but we always invest it back into the show. And we do that because we have such great people here, and this is your show. And that's why we overreact, because we want everyone, again, anybody who wants to be part of the show can jump on and be a part of it. It's a place where you can come and give your thoughts and we have folks from Hawaii jump on here. We have folks from Japan jump on here. We have folks from all over. So we appreciate that, Drew Smith. I never want to come across as not appreciating the super chats, even if it's 19 cents. We will take it. We've had folks give $500. We've taken it, but it all goes back into the show. So we appreciate it.
And also, Radi, you brought up Shane Beamer. I think, honestly, Virginia Tech's open. We know his father coached there, and they need a head coach. If I'm him, I'm running to it. Because at this point, with the ACC, the ACC's weak. And if you're 9-3 in the ACC, you could probably win that conference. But honestly, with how it looks, it's an easier job, less pressure. If I'm him and I go to Virginia Tech, which I think outside of maybe James Franklin, apparently they're high on him. Shane Beamer would probably be a top 3 or 4 option for them, and he would fit given the nature of his father and that last name. If I'm him, I run to Virginia Tech. I leave South Carolina because next year he's probably getting fired unless they win like 9 games. He's probably getting fired. So I'm bouncing if I'm Shane Beamer.
When Shane Beamer was at Georgia, he did not sign one player.
No.
I don't know how that's possible. And he wasn't. You remember? Didn't he leave to go to Oklahoma or Texas?
Yeah, I remember Luke Ford was like the only tight end they signed, and I remember he wasn't even the primary recruiter. I think it was like Del McGee.
Yeah. So when you get that guy, that's not. So basically, Kirby told him, "Hey, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here." So he went and took a tight end job somewhere else. I think it was Oklahoma. And then somehow
he went to Oklahoma. He was the assistant head coach.
Yeah, then wound up getting a head coaching job and just kind of blew him. Like, boy, talk about failing up. So that was a guy who, if he could have held, and that all credit to South Carolina for getting a 27-point lead in the first half. That's brilliant. You can't take the points away. But if they had held on and beaten Texas A&M, then Georgia would be sitting at number 3 in the rankings. And
I think Radi, he got the job because he was the assistant. They had the label assistant head coach under Lincoln Riley, so he probably thought he had a say in Lincoln Riley's offense, even though he doesn't. And then another thing is the last name. They go, his dad was a successful head coach. He's young. He's been under a great offensive mind. It's like with the NFL when they had like McVay and LaFleur and all of them. They were all on like the same staff and like, oh, young offensive guy under like the Shanahan tree. They're like, oh, we have to hire that guy. That's why there's like 8 of them that are head coaches in the NFL. I think the Falcons offensive coordinator was like under that tree. So like there's like a million of those coaches. So I think they're probably like, oh, Lincoln Riley. And he's a Beamer. I think that's probably why he got the job.
Yeah, could be. This is a good thing from Drew Smith here. He says, I wonder if Coach Billy Neighbor was in the house tonight. We broke the news on Tuesday that he came by. I know that Arch Manning reached out to Ty Simpson. They had a little tete-a-tete as to how to beat Georgia. So Ty Simpson, kind of gave Arch Manning a scouting report. I'm thinking the scouting report that Georgia got from Billy Napier, who actually beat Texas with his Florida team, that could say something. I do want to give we talked about our Inside Texas guys. When we had Jeff come over and do a opposition research, we actually asked him, hey, what do you think? How do you think this Georgia-Texas game is going to go down? He actually said, I expect it to go down like the Florida game. So our insider at Inside Texas, who covers the Texas top to bottom, he did not expect Texas to win tonight, mainly because he was worried about Texas's offensive line. So,
well, and also, what Ty Simpson's game plan to beat Georgia was execute on third down. Texas had 0 third down conversions in the first half. I think he did the absolute opposite, whatever Ty Simpson probably told him.
Yeah, that's very true. Also, I do wonder, wasn't Vandy off this week?
I think so.
Could a certain Will Muschamp have been on the sideline or in the office a little bit, maybe come help out?
I think it's definitely possible. I mean, I think personally he's probably a better defensive coordinator than Schumann, if you ask me.
Oh, yeah.
Who's situated to call plays.
Dude,
I think Schumann's a great inside linebacker coach.
He's such a good defensive coordinator.
I think Schumann's a good inside linebacker coach. I don't think he's, all world as a coordinator.
Here's the thing about Glenn Schumann as a defensive coordinator. Monday through Friday, he is lights out. He will get the trends, the tendencies, the game plan, and he will have it squared away. He is a defensive savant. Anybody that talks to him says this guy knows defense like nobody else. There's a reason he was Kirby Smart's first hire. The day Kirby Smart was announced as a UGA head coach, Glenn Schumann was hitting kids up at 8 a.m. at their high schools.
Right.
Guy had never been a coach before. Kirby Smart's first hire, Glenn Schumann. Knew what he had in him. The problem is in game. He's not as quick to make the adjustments in game that Will Muschamp does. He'll get them, don't get me wrong, but sometimes you wonder, it's like, why didn't we make that adjustment in the second quarter? Why didn't we make that midway through the first quarter? We made it at halftime. And again, I'm not big into halftime adjustments. Sometimes it's just, you call the same stuff in the second half that you did the first half. It just hits better. But I worry more about Glenn Schumann in the game, but fewer better Monday through Friday. So it is what it is. Shout out to Freedom Van 29-7. He says, seen a lot of guys do it just like that. Man, keep investing. New here, but already digging the content. Like talking to folks in the garage. Right, Freedom Van, that's exactly what we do. This is very informal. We do drop stuff that we hear kind of from the insiders. So we do share. Coach Boom and Bobo forever coaches of Kirby. Yeah, that's his guys. Muschamp is amazing. Yeah. The perfect example here, Mike Brown 9997 says Lanning was a better defensive play caller. Agree 1,000%. That's why they were so dangerous together. Glenn Schumann says, here's all the tendencies, here's the game plan, here are our options. Hands it to Dan Lanning, their co-defensive coordinators. Dan Lanning's calling the plays with all that, every ounce of information that Glenn Schumann gave him made Dan Lanning very dangerous. So
Yeah, they were a dominant duo.
Oh, and someone says, would you take Muschamp over Schumann? That's crazy. I would take Will Muschamp over just about anybody.
As defensive coordinator, 100%. Call him, please.
He is lights out as defensive
As a
coordinator.
head coach.
No, yeah, no. Well, I'm not. I would take him as a head coach over Glenn Schumann. Yeah. Here's the thing.
Yeah,
I don't think
well,
Glenn
he's
Schumann's
done it,
going to be a
so.
head coach anywhere. I just don't.
Do you think Glenn Schumann? Because I remember, I think I asked the question maybe a week or two ago. But do you think Glenn Schumann will get a head coaching job? Because I look at the openings and I go, if he doesn't get one, like, I mean, I don't know if he'll ever get one.
So yeah, I don't see it. Jim K7882 says, I'm not sure it's halftime defensive adjustments or better execution, not blowing assignments. Yes. And here's the thing. When you ask people inside the program, okay, what did you do in the second half? What did you guys change at halftime? They're like, nothing. Go back and watch. We did the same thing. It just worked in the second half and not the first half. Okay. But now sometimes that does change because, they'll be playing man in the first half, and then they go to zone in the second half, and that works better. Or, they'll play man under and works better. Or, it's like, hey, let's spin the safeties. And so, right. I mean, there are some adjustments, but that's stuff that you had planned to do in the first half that just didn't present itself. And so you wind up doing the second half. But a lot of times it's just guys playing better in the second half. So it's tough. The most overrated thing in the world is halftime adjustments. It's not like they all go sit around the whiteboard and change everything they're going to do at halftime.
Mm-hmm.
I did mention our friends at Hunker Spirits, so I appreciate them being on there. I'll bring it up on the screen here. What did you think of that of Elias Williams tonight?
I thought for the most part when I saw him, a lot of it was in blocking, and there was that one play where I thought it was debate. You can maybe debate it was pass interference. I think if he tried to draw it more, kind of like a freaking NBA player like James Harden, he could have maybe sold it and actually got a PI there. But I think for the most part, like, he's one of those guys. When I heard Kirby talk about him in the media recently, he's like, "Oh, this guy's going to be special for us." Like, he gave you that we need this guy to stay. Like, no matter what. Like, Delp's going to be gone next year. Lucky, I assume, is coming back because it's him. Yeah, I assume Lawson Lucky will be coming back. So he wants to keep Elias Williams because he knows some of these teams are going to look at his usage and look at him on tape and offer him NIL. So when I hear him talking about Elias Williams the way he is and knowing that he has to keep him, because I think there's another 5-star on the team that I don't think he cares if he ends up leaving. I'm not going to say who that is. But when I look at people like Elijah Griffin growing and I look at Elias Williams, I thought they looked good tonight. Elijah Griffin got held like multiple times tonight. He only got called for like 1 or 2 of them, but he got held like all day. So to see these freshmen, and that's one thing I did want to bring up earlier, Radi, is I think Kirby now is looking for culture fits because I thought there are 2 players. I don't want to name them, but I think it's very out in the open. Carson Beck and Daniel Harris, I don't think they really fit the culture that Kirby Smart has at Georgia. They don't feel like Georgia. They feel more like USC. And not to knock Lincoln Riley, but they feel like they would fit there where it would be like all flashy and like those big cities. That's kind of where they want to go. They do not fit a Kirby Smart Georgia Bulldog team. And I think now when you look at Nate Frazier and you look at him talk about Miss Allen, the lady who passed away, who was very close inside that at that facility, and you see some of these other players, you go, they fit Georgia. Gunnar Stockton, that team, I think Eddie talked earlier about like Gunnar Stockton is Georgia. He is. So I look at some of these players, and I think now with NIL, he might be like, you know what? If I see this guy as a great culture fit, I value that more than maybe a guy who's a little bit more talented because I know I can coach him up. Because some of these guys who are more self-centered and about money, they're not going to be willing to be coached up as much. Like Daniel Harris was going to portal. I think there was like back-to-back off seasons. He was going to enter the transfer portal. One time he announced, I'm entering the portal, and they pulled his name out. Carson Beck, I remember one time hearing that like he was considering portaling the year that Stetson Bennett announced he was coming back. He was thinking about it. So like these guys,
he did.
You look at him and I'm like, he wants people, I think now that are culture fits. And I look at a lot of these young guys, and Zykevius Walker's one that probably won't get talked about. Whenever he plays his 5 plays a game, he always looks good. That these freshmen look really good. This is one of his best classes, minus a couple of players. But this looks like one of his best classes because all the team is young guys. And to me, they fit what he wants at Georgia. And that's why I think next year's team is going to be even better.
Yeah, I'm with you. So we had a transfer portal thread on the dog vents at ugsports.com. what was it, like 86,000 views or 130? I mean, it was a ridiculous number of views. And we had an update each day during the transfer portal. Who was going in? Was Georgia interested or not? Like one of the first guys that went into the portal that Georgia was really in on was Concepcion, who went to Texas A&M and is so damn good out there. Georgia really went hard after him. Of course, the Aggies decided to double or triple Georgia's offer, and Georgia was already in, basically going to get Zachariah Branch. So it's like, well, we're not can't have two slot guys paying them this kind of money. But you're right about at a time when, I mentioned this earlier in the show, at a time when these teams feel more mercenary-like than ever, Kirby is really working on that locker room mentality, that culture fit. And in that thread of all the different guys that were going into the portal, guys that had played against Georgia or who were recruited by Georgia, who might be in the running for Georgia, there were about 3 or 4 were like, Georgia was like, this kid committed to Clemson or this kid committed to Notre Dame or whoever over Georgia. Now he's in the transfer portal. Georgia should be right there.
Right.
And we're like, and people are like, oh, Georgia's going to get him because they were right in on it. And I'm like, this kid is not a culture fit. Oh, he's really good. Don't get me wrong. Especially there were a couple defensive guys that you're like, oh, yeah, we're going to get that guy. I'm like, no, you're not. Because you're right. Georgia is big on getting the right culture kids. And I know it. If you're like me, I'm like, I don't care about culture. I care about production. Culture sounds great, but I want a guy. Georgia can't be last in sacks. Don't give me the guy that fits Georgia's culture that can't get a damn sack. So I get wanting production and hard data over connectivity because you can't quantify connectivity. You can't quantify culture fits. But I think you are seeing that the quantification of 9-1, hard to kill. Georgia has trailed in all but one SEC game this year. They're 7-1. They trailed in 7 games. They've come back, and if they play Ohio State and they get down 28-0, I'm like, this game ain't over. These guys are going to come back. So I'm with you. I just remember a number of guys in December or January, whenever the portal opened up. I'm like, yeah, I think Georgia would like the guy, but he is absolutely not a culture fit. And then I would call some folks at UGA. They're like, yeah, we're not in on him. Okay, well, you do realize he's one of the top defensive ends in the nation. Yeah, no, we have no interest in that guy. I'm like, damn. Okay, so you're right, Ben. You're 100% on there. And that's the thing. So Mike Brown says Beck let the NIL go to his head, which happens to people when they get money all of a sudden. That's very
was
possible.
all of it.
It was.
I don't think it was
all
all
of it,
NIL, but I think a part of it was his personality. Like from day one that he was there was just, it's not like Stetson Bennett or Gunner. He's a different kid. That's why Kirby coached him different. The NIL definitely played some factor in terms of, how he was spending things and, his work ethic a little bit, but it wasn't everything. His personality was different. Even when he entered his first 2 years there wasn't even NIL as a thing. His personality was still similar. So I don't think it was all NIL with him.
Hard to kill beats TikTok every day in your day. Damn it, David.
Yeah, for sure.
That's cold-blooded, brother. That is cold-blooded. He's right. But that's the thing. So in 2020, which was the first year Carson Beck arrived at Georgia, remember COVID hits.
Dwan Mathis.
Spring practices.
Great sideline passer, Dwan Mathis.
Yeah. And, you always ask how the freshmen are doing. And somebody asked I asked someone about Carson Beck, and they're like, "Oh, that guy, he's such a sourpuss." What do you mean sourpuss? Who uses the term sourpuss anymore? He's a sourpuss, and he's like, "Look, they're throwing routes on throwing routes on air, position drills, stuff like that. And if a guy drops the ball or throws off, it's always the wide receiver's fault. It's always somebody else's fault. But the guy's just a sourpuss." I'm like, okay. And then a couple years later, he's the number 2 quarterback, but then Carson Beck beats him out. He at that point, he's looking to transfer. And I mean, remember, we at UGA Sports were the one that broke the news that Stetson Bennett was going to start ahead of Carson Beck, even though, earlier in the year, Kirby Smart had said, well, Carson Beck is our number 2. So when JT Daniels went down, everyone expected him. We're the only ones that reported that it was going to be Stetson Bennett. And part of it was we asked what happened. He said, oh, well, in practice, when Carson Beck got in there, he was given like 6 plays. On 3 of those plays, either through an incompletion or an interception. He basically peed down his leg running good on good. He was running the Georgia first team versus the Georgia first team offense versus the Georgia first team defense. He just had a meltdown. And I'm like, okay. So Gunnar Stockton gets in there, and I basically just wrote off Carson Beck indefinitely. But then, like, after Carson leaves, we hear these reports. Carson Beck is really good now. Oh, he's really gung-ho, and he's changed his mentality. Okay. And sure enough, his first year as a starter, he sets the school record with the highest percentage of completions. You're like, okay, Carson. But sure enough, by the time he leaves, by the time he gets hurt in the SEC championship game and then disappears and winds up in Miami, full circle back to being a sourpuss. And the guys they respected him as a professional, but they are connected to Gunnar Stockton. They play for Gunnar Stockton. They saw Gunnar Stockton 2 weeks ago, lay a hit on a Florida defensive end. They're like,
and you see on the Noah Thomas touchdown, he got like popped, like he fully front flipped, and then he just got up and he was the first one to the end zone.
I did not see that, but again, that's not just. I'm not taking a shot against Carson Beck there. I'm just saying that connectivity matters. You saw in the SEC championship game last year against Texas when when all of a sudden Gunnar Stockton comes out there, it provided a spark. They should have been moaning and kvetching and nervous. We have to go to our second string quarterback. This ain't good. We're going to lose the SEC championship. Hell, they were the opposite. They're like, awesome. We love Gunnar. Let's go, Gunnar. And they went out there and they won the second half. So my point is, you're right about the connectivity. You're right about the culture. And even though it's hard to quantify, that will matter if they wind up facing Alabama again, or Texas A&M, or Ohio State, or Indiana, or whoever winds up being in the top 5. I'm going to give Georgia a chance to win it based on something as, I don't say unpinnable, but something that's so hard to measure as connectivity and culture. They've got a culture that they take pride in. We won't die. We are hard to kill. And tonight, even though you had 6 different drives that were just mediocre, you also had 3 drives in the fourth quarter that resulted in touchdowns. You had your first 2 drives resulted in touchdowns. If you can score 35 points a game, you can win a national title.
Yeah. And Radi, I know you talked about it like a week or 2 ago. You were like, whenever he goes to the NFL, we don't think it'll be this year. It's possible. But whenever he goes, one of the things is the interviews. I mean, if you listen to his interview after the game, they asked him like 6 questions. This guy said like each question, he said like 5 or 6 words. And I could have sworn almost all of his answers were, we had great preparation this week. And then he literally had that same answer for literally all of his questions. And then I remember Herb Street and
tell me about that 4th down play. We had great preparation this week.
He literally did that for more than half the questions. And I remember the coaches it was Herb Street and Fowler were like, yeah, that was very modest. We didn't get a lot out of him there. Like, they were like, yeah, that guy, he barely said anything. I'm sitting there, I'm like, yeah, I remember Roddy last week goes, when he's in those interviews and they're like, yeah, this guy doesn't talk. I mean, he's not one of those eccentric personalities, but he's all about ball and he's all about his team. And they kind of feel that, because I know Oscar Delp and a few of the other players, like he's known Drew Bobo and they talked about it since he was like 5 years old. He, who else was I think of? Oscar Delp and a few other guys, the pass catchers. He was on their same 7-on-7 team. Like, he grew up with a lot of these kids in high school and well before, where he grew up with a lot of these guys. So like that's why I think they know him personally, and he's just a team first guy who's all about ball, and then he'll go and like hunt with some of the people on the team and fish and stuff like that. That's what he is. When you look at Carson, he's a little bit more, the flashy lifestyle, and he's not that. And it's not to say Carson's a terrible player. Like we've never said that Carson's like awful.
Dude, he's completing about 74% of his passes in Miami this year.
He's had some good, like against Notre Dame this year, and he's had a few other games where he was like spot on. Like against Notre Dame, he cooked them. He's a good player. It's just I don't think he's really maximizing himself at times, and I think there's some things in his head where he gets in his own way. But he's a talented football player, and I don't think he's like an awful. Like we don't think he's like an awful human being or anything like that.
No, it's just
so I just want to clarify that we're not saying that. But
no,
I just think Gunnar fits
I'll defend him, and I'm just saying he's more of a sour disposition, whereas Gunnar is just kind of goofy and happy, and just he's a good old boy and likes to be out there, and that appeals to the team. But you're right, when he does a media interview, and there've only been two people who I've driven a long way to see, and I did not run their interview after I sat there and recorded an interview. One of them was Leonard Floyd, because it was the second time I've gone all the way down to interview him, and we didn't run that one. And the other one was Gunnar Stockton. Last game, went up there, never been so cold in my life, stayed outside. My feet hurt. I think I got frostbite. It was so cold. He scored like 7 touchdowns, but it was his last game, so everybody in the world came down there to get a picture with him. He signed autographs for maybe an hour. I was cold from the second quarter on, just shaking cold. And we set up the interview. I had to wait till he was done with everything, which is fine. I didn't want to bother him. And the interview was just so bad. I'm like, look, we're just going to run clips. And you saw it tonight. He's not a great interview. But if you put him what they call on the horns, you put him on the table, it's like, okay, it's 3rd and 6. Defense is showing Tampa 2. What are you running? We're going to give you trips right, Z in motion. What do you do? What's your read? You put him on the board, he will diagnose that play 8 ways from Sunday. This kid knows football, and he gets much more animated about that than the garbage media questions that we ask him. We ask stupid questions. He was asked stupid questions after the end of the game today. So, yeah, he's not exciting there, but on the field, holy crap. So he doesn't have to be a great spokesman. He just has to be a great quarterback. And right now, that's what you got. The kids, Arch Manning got all the hype. Head-to-head, Gunnar Stockton, who was not getting any of the preseason hype. And remember, people were like, we're stuck with Gunnar Stockton. They tried to get
Mendoza.
They tried to get the guy that went who's from Coastal Carolina. What was that guy?
I remember Mendoza went from Cal to Indiana, but who's Coastal Carolina? Was that Grayson McCall, or is that a different year?
Could be. They looked at a bunch of different quarterbacks they tried to get in. And then when they didn't get anybody in the portal, everyone said, oh, well, Georgia just whiffed on all the portal quarterbacks. They wanted an extra body because they didn't have many. Remember, Ryan Montgomery was here, but he's coming off ACL surgery. So you basically had Gunnar Stockton and Ryan Puglisi. Ryan Puglisi's never taken a snap. So
there was a point in time Montgomery nearly
like 1.5. So if you could get a Fernando Mendoza, you'd be like, hell yeah, let's get him in here. But when they didn't put up the money that everybody else did for the big quarterbacks, because they were fine if they only had Gunnar Stockton. So my point is, when Paul Feinbaum was like, I don't think he can get it done or whatever before the season starts, and everybody's saying that Arch Manning is going to win the Heisman. Arch had what, 1 touchdown today? Gunnar Stockton had 5 in a head-to-head matchup.
Against
and completed 83% of his passes.
Against a defense that's been better over the course of the whole year.
Here's a note for you. He went 23 of 28. How many incompletions is that?
5.
How many touchdowns did he have today?
5. And I only really remember 2 bad plays where he didn't hand it off the branch in the pick. They're the only 2 plays, and I'm like, Gunnar, you got to have those back. Other than that, there were times with the offensive line, he had pressure, and he either got the ball away or he dumped it down to back in the backfield. Actually, that's one other minor fix to the offense for me is personally, I would prefer Dwight Phillips to play a little bit more at running back as like the third guy instead of Cash Jones. But the reason they have Cash Jones in there is because he's experienced and he's good in pass protection. I remember years ago, Roddy, when I think it was the freshman year, Branson Robinson, when people were talking about that Auburn game he had where he just went off and everyone's like, oh, he is now the next Nick Chubb. And I noticed he never was in the game when it was a pass pro situation. Never once, because they didn't trust him in those. And that's a big thing to Kirby, because you look, there were times in that game where they blitzed. I remember there were 2 times where I'm like, oh, they're blitzing a corner or safety here. Cash Jones would pick it up. That's why it's very crucial for that, even though in an ideal world to be Dwight Phillips is like the fastest running back they have, and he's a great gadget player. I wish he was kind of the third back, but at the same time, that experience with guys like Cash Jones, that's why you see certain guys like that you're like, oh, they're 3 stars or they're walk-ons or whatever that are playing. It's because it's a culture thing, and he trusts them in those minor things. It's like what you said a week ago about Kirby values that blocking. Like, no, Thomas's blocking for a bit was pretty bad. He's like, I think Kirby would rather have guys that they'll just block because that'll piss him off. So, like, those things really matter to Kirby.
Freedom Van 2970 says, this year I'm thankful that we have Coach Kirby Smart instead of the crazy thing that everyone else is doing. Yeah. Again, this is third. Last year was his best coaching job. This may be even better than that. He won't win Coach of the Year.
No. Bobo might win the Broyles.
But he may be the Coach of the Year. So I'm with you there, Freedom Van.
I think Bobo winning the Broyles would be a funnier thing because I think everybody.
Oh my God, that would be hilarious. Please,
on our board, it was like, what was it? If we had to poll, it had to be at least like 82, 83% people wanted him fired. At least it was in the 80 percentile. And now in my opinion, I think he's the Broyles Award winner.
Gunner checked on his couch not after the game. He probably did.
Did you see a podcast he did where they're like, Gunner, what did you get for Christmas? It's like, oh, I got cows. And they're like, how much are they worth? They go, I don't know. Me and my father, day of Christmas, went down and we just saw like 3 calves or like 3 cows or whatever. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, this is what this guy's talking about. He's talking about like buying cows on like Christmas morning and stuff. And this is Georgia's quarterback. You go from a guy driving Lambos making $2-3 million to a guy who's buying cows on Christmas morning and like observing them and stuff. I'm like, I've never seen a bigger difference.
Yeah. And I doubt that Gunner's dating some social media influencer, but if he wound up,
I don't think he's ever going to do that.
If he wound up marrying his high school sweetheart, would you really be shocked? So Jeff Dyer points out that one of those incompletions of the 5 was an interception and one was a tip that he batted down himself that he could have easily caught. Yeah, smart play there. If he catches it, he gets tackled. Now all of a sudden he's lost 7 yards. When the guy gets sacked, he very seldom loses huge yardage. It's usually just a couple yards. He tends to get back to the line of scrimmage or close. So good call there, Jeff Dyer, on
that Florida.
That's a smart play. He batted it away. He could have caught it. Oh, I can make something out of this. Nope. Smart dude.
I will also say the interception against Florida, me and Radi have said that should not count against them.
No, I hate that.
Because, I think, what was it? Noah Thomas, it hit him right in the numbers. And popped up.
And that's after Noah Thomas had missed a block on the edge, too.
Yeah, so it's like that interception, I think it might be PFF that does the half sack, counts as a full sack. Because, like, how do you get a half sack? Like, how is that a thing? So it's like that's another one of those stats. I'm just like, it's so stupid. If a receiver drops a ball, it should not count against for an interception.
Just Lone Bobo needs to win the 9-figure award over Cade Mays. Kevin Mays. Cade's got all 10 figures.
Cade's got all 10.
Wow.
He's still in the NFL, by the way. I'm kind of shocked by that.
No, dude, why? He's a really good player.
You know he's starting at center? I never thought he would be a center. He's starting at center for the Panthers. They graded him as like a top 10 center this year.
I thought he'd be a center when he came to Georgia.
At tackle, it was not. What was that game when he played under Matt Luke for one game? I think it was against Baylor. It was at the Sugar Bowl. And at tackle, I was sitting there, I'm going, yeah, he's not a tackle. He was 100% a guard center. But tackle, I don't know. That was not a good decision to put him there.
So, again, we were kind of spilling the tea on Shane Beamer. I'd also like to spill the little tea on Matt Luke. The Georgia players hated Matt Luke. absolutely detested him. He drove a lot of them crazy. He had lost the rooms, so to speak. And Georgia is still trying to climb out of the hole that he recruited them into.
Yeah.
You go back and look at those Matt Luke classes, there were some huge misses in there. So, and again, I'm not saying that the guys that Georgia signed on the offensive line are all Stacy Searles, because a lot of times your lead recruiter could be somebody in your area, not so much your position coach.
Yeah.
But like this last class with Juan Gaston and Dontrell Glover and Cortez Smith. Remember that name. He's also a true freshman. Georgia's kind of getting back to having that mauler offensive line. So despite Matt Luke went on to Clemson. How in the hell is Clemson doing right now?
Oh, they stink. I mean, you talk about underperforming team. I remember entering the year looking at the mock drafts, and you would see the college by the side. Clemson had like 5 players. Every other team had like 1 or 2. Clemson has like 5 of them. And you look at the record, and Cade Klubnik's running for his life half the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Matt Luke's still climbing out of that recruiting hole. Yeah. Georgia's
Darius Mims would have ended up portaling if Matt Luke was still the coach. I remember he entered, and Stacy Searles was there, and he was part of the reason that convinced him to stay. But he was one of the guys who was very vocal. He didn't like Matt Luke. And I think it was initially Radi, it was the upperclassmen hated him. And then over time, because I think some of the freshmen liked him from like recruiting because they like know him. And then over time that even shifted. I remember, I think it was like the first half of that year, you were like, all the upperclassmen hate him, and then it was all the freshmen.
Yeah, because it's the shit he pulled with Clay Webb, you know. So yeah, they all wound up hating him. So much for that. Good point here. Gaston and Glover saved the season. Imagine playing Texas without him. Amari, don't make me scared like that. It's 2:00 in the morning.
Especially, what was it? The basketball player? His name?
Oh
Jackson?
Yeah. Well, they tried the Jay Jackson experiment. That didn't work. They tried the Michael Uni experiment. That didn't work.
No. No. The Tennessee tape, that was probably the worst tape an offensive lineman's put on all year.
Yeah. So that was. Yeah, I like this. Yeah, can we get the pit boss back?
If I'm him, I'm retired. Have you seen the house he's living in?
Yeah,
that house living in Arkansas. There's no way in hell I'm leaving. No. He has a palace. He's basically like the governor there in terms of like he is like the governor's mansion.
He's well loved. All right, it is 2:15. Let's hit a few of these, and we're almost 3 hours into the show. Let's hit a few helmet stickers.
I'll go with 3. So first, I'll go with Gunnar Stockton. You have 5 total touchdowns, at least 250 total yards against a defense which was a top 5 defense in college football and a top 10 team. It's got to be Gunnar Stockton there. I'm going to go actually number 2. I'm going to go Oscar Delp, because I thought whenever they went to him a few times and he had a block. It was that first run by Gunnar to open up on the first drive. He was blocking 2 different guys like 20 yards downfield, Oscar Delp. I think he maybe missed 1 block tonight that I remember that was kind of noticeable. But other than that, he was blocking. He was open all day, made a couple crucial catches. And then third, I'll go on the defense side, D'Amilo Jones, just because I'm seeing the progression from him. He made a lot of tackles, and those screens early in the game, I think Texas had some success with the screen game. But as the game went on and they threw screens at D'Amilo Jones, he was tackling. And he did not allow hardly any receptions. He didn't get beat over the top. He was balling all day long, making big plays. I'll go D'Amilo with my game ball on defense.
Okay. I'll give you 3. I'm going to stick with my man, Nate Frazier. 16 attempts, 72 yards, 4.5 yards a game. Texas, as a team, was only giving up 78 yards on the ground. Nate Frazier by himself had 72. So I thought that was pretty impressive. And there were a couple of times that he just freaking gashed him, and I wish they'd stuck with him a little bit more.
Yeah.
But 16 attempts, 72 yards. That was pretty lights out. I was thinking about Zachariah Branch, and not giving him one is no shot against him. He had 6 catches tonight for 41 yards. But you got to give it to Noah Thomas.
Yeah.
4 catches, 2 of them were touchdowns. He's now the leading touchdown guy on the team. So
we didn't think he was a real person for half the season, and now he's the leading.
He missed half the season, but now he's the leading guy. Remember, he was the leading receiver for Texas A&M. He comes to Georgia. He doesn't play like the first 6 games. And then in the Florida game, when he comes in for Colby Young, who gets injured, he has the whiff block, and then he has the ball that goes through his hands for an interception. But at the end of the Florida game, he makes a big catch in the end zone. Then he had the 67-yard run against Mississippi State. He has 2 touchdowns tonight. I'm saying Noah Thomas is coming on in a big, big way.
That second touchdown throw was, even though it was like a 5-yard pass, was perfect.
Yeah.
That was perfect.
And then Chris Cole on defense, the guy pressed into service when CJ Allen went out. I didn't see a drop off. He led the team in tackles. Dude had 7 tackles, 4 solo, 1 tackle for loss. So Chris Cole in his first real extensive game time, dude led the team in tackles. Now, granted, inside linebackers tend to do that, but I thought it was a big game for Chris Cole, and I think he deserves one of
I thought you were going to give one to Gabe Harris. I literally checked. I think someone said on X, like someone like called out Gabe Harris, and they're like, "Oh, dude, look at this guy's stats. He's the biggest bum to ever play at Georgia." I think Gabe might have responded or whatever, and he had a good game today. So I thought you were going to say him and Johnson.
No, Gabe Harris. Trying to see. He had 2 tackles, 1 sack, 1.5 tackles for loss. So yeah, he was right there. He made some plays. So, we're about to hang up there, but now we got Harrison Reno. Harrison, what are you doing up this late? Don't you have curfew?
I wasn't gonna be able to sleep anyways for a couple hours, and I saw you were still on here grinding, so I was like, I can't go to sleep when the boss man's over here grinding.
So Harrison is the guy who, after your tailback runs it 16 times on the drive and gets you down to 1st and goal from the 4, he comes in and asks for a little tight end curl to score the touchdown at the end. So we've been grinding for 3 hours and 51 seconds. Here comes Harrison at the end going, yeah, I was a part of it.
Hey, I got home maybe 30 minutes ago and finished my sidebar, and I was like, hey, let's see if I help Radi out at all.
So Harrison, give us your thoughts here.
I had Texas covering the 4.5, and boy, was I wrong. I mean, I was more wrong than I could have been. That was insane. I know y'all have already talked about it probably. How many times has Kirby Smart made the risky decision, like the ballsy decision, and there's maybe 2 or 3 times off the top of my head where it's not paid off. But man, since that, I want to say the Ohio State game, it just feels like this man can do no wrong when it comes to these now. Like, aside from the 4th down decision, that onside kick is one of the craziest things I've ever witnessed in person. I mean, even just watching a game. I don't know how many hours of tape they studied for that. He really didn't open up about that, but that was insane. And it just all made the more poetic that Cash Jones was on the other end of it, because that guy was getting blasted for the 4th down play versus Alabama wrongfully. Because
that was a good point. A lot of people were crapping on, in the comment section, people were crapping on Cash Jones, and they're like, why is he in on 3rd down? Because when Cash Jones comes in on 3rd down, the defense doesn't know if he's going out for a pass or being handed the ball. If you put Chauncey Bowens back there, you know it's a handoff. If you put Nate Frazier back there, you know it's a handoff. That changes the defense. So when he's back there, it makes the defense question, and it changes what they play. So would they like to have somebody else back there? Maybe, but he's also, when you need to throw it to him, he's the best guy to catch it. So, but yeah, I thought that was the folks who were crapping on Cash Jones when he caught that ball out of the air. Again, hands team. I'm with you there, Harrison. I thought that was a huge vindication.
There's a radio host, Radi, that personally attacked Cash. There was a certain radio host, and I won't address it now. I'll let Eddie and the guys address that tomorrow. But there was a certain radio person here in Georgia that was very hard on Cash. Question why he even had a scholarship after that.
Who was it? Who?
It was the Brian Finneran. Brian Finneran was crapping on him after that.
I don't want to crap on Brian because, I mean, he actually did play professional football. But, dude, that gives you less of an excuse to be a douche.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
You know what a contributor looks like.
A guy that works day in and day out for I don't know how many years it was before Cash got a scholarship.
Well,
but
and
he went to
how many
Georgia
third downs
knowing-
has he converted for Georgia? Come on, man, don't be that guy.
Yeah. So it was a feel good story for Cash, and it's also a feel good story for Gunnar Stockton because Radi, Ben, y'all know this. How many times have they tried to recruit over that guy over the years? I mean, how many 5-star quarterbacks did they pursue when Gunnar Stockton was on the roster? How many transfer portal guys did they have watching bowl practice last year? As you reported, Radi, in our transfer portal thread, which is like 30 pages long by February. Like, you feel good. Those are the stories in college football that make you fans of college football, and it's awesome to see him play at the level he is playing right now because I was one of them after the first few games looking at the breakdowns that Brent Rollins was doing for Phil Don't Lie. I'm like, ooh, that's a little concerning. There's a lot of turndowns. Like, at some point, this may bite Georgia in the game.
Yeah, didn't he have like 130 yards in one game?
Yeah. I forget which one. It was Auburn, I want to say it was.
I'm thinking like Marshall or Austin P. He only had like 130 yards.
Cash went off last year in that Tech game. If you didn't have Cash, you didn't win against Georgia Tech last year.
Or Dan Jackson.
Who, guys, they had Dan Jackson a part of the Georgia Bulldog legends at midfield today. Like, that's awesome. So
he definitely is. And again, I mean, Cash Jones also, he's screwed up sometimes. You know, he's missed a few. He missed the first down today, although I thought, you know, he had it. But again, you know, and people want to bang on him on that 4th and 1 against Florida. Against Alabama. I'm like, no.
Really, if Glover takes Overton, because they double team blocked whoever the 3 technique was, if he takes Overton and just chips him, they have a touchdown. So I mean,
that's my point.
But again, Cash Jones.
But that's so I'm just saying it's misplaced there. And I'm not trying to sugarcoat it. He'll be the first to tell you I missed on that play. But there are other times where I'll put it to you this way: we love to nitpick things, but we're talking about a team that's 9-1, and we're talking about a quarterback, as you mentioned, Harrison, that after the first 2 games, people were wondering, can he even throw it downfield? And game 3, first play of the game, he hits Colby Young on a sideline route, deep ball. And all of a sudden people are like, well, maybe Mike Bobo and Kirby Smart aren't complete freaking idiots.
That seam ball to Oscar Delp today was probably his best throw I've seen. That was insane.
That pass to London Humphreys.
On 4th down. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But the point is, this is a kid who they see this happen in practice. In other words, the coaches may know something more than us. And if it's 3rd down, it's 3rd and 3, and they've got Chauncey Bowens, Nate Frazier, Josh McCrary, Dwight Phillips, all good backs, right? And they decide, hey, let's put in number 32. Okay, well, let's give the guys who just went 9-1 again, 9-1, and you only lost the Alabama game by 3 points on a turnover that you gave them on your side of the field, and you didn't play without your top tackles. So, as frustrating as this team can be, they're still 9-1, and maybe we give the coaches a little bit of credit for knowing their personnel. So.
Well,
sticking with Gunnar and sticking with Carson, and you know, I'd love if you could get the same capabilities from Nate Frazier. He could pick up all the blitzes that Cash Jones does, and he could catch as well. Because I'd rather Nate Frazier be on the end catching a pass out in the flat than Cash Jones.
Right.
But if he drops it, or if he misses the blitz, Cash Jones throws his body in front of things. So just trying to give the man credit. And as much as I second guess the coaches all the time, I'm not, and I fume about their rotations. It's like, oh, hey, look, Nate Frazier just ran for 17 yards. Let's take him out. Don't take him out.
And it's like, I remember with Ladd McConkey, Roddy, do you remember when they played Tennessee at home when Tennessee had beat Alabama? What was that, 2022? I remember there was reports, I think we covered it, that like some scout, like some NFL scout or some SEC coaches were like, Ladd McConkey, he doesn't even deserve to be on an SEC team. And that was a guy, I remember when Georgia took him late because they offered him a basketball, his only offers were Army and Kent State. I believe that they were his only offers. And look at how he panned out. Like some of these guys, I mean, Dan Jackson, I mean, that guy had like no hope. and they played him because they saw him in practice and they saw how he worked. So they see something in Cash Jones, and he's came through last year. He came through more often than not. So,
hey, MG's got a good point. Good point here. He says in 23 we needed him to close out Carolina because Milton and Dejon couldn't even get 2 yards of carry.
yeah,
Well, it's not
I
even
forgot
forget.
about it.
Dane Jackson went through the fire in terms of criticism. Remember in that 21 championship
Dude,
game, they had Jackson on Jamison Williams in the slot in that game. And he got beat a couple times.
Yeah.
And then he turns into what Dane Jackson turned into.
Hey, don't remember how many people were just hating on Chaz Chambliss because he was white.
Then he's your second leader in sacks or tied for
I
the lead. in
mean,
sacks.
they can say what they wanted to, but they're like, Chaz Chambliss can't set the edge. And I'm like, y'all just don't like him because he's a lunch pail guy and
he wasn't highly rated.
Yeah, it wasn't highly rated, but I'm like, in the first 5 games of this year, I'd have killed to have Chaz Chambliss.
Georgia would have killed to have him tonight.
Nobody could set the edge. I'm like, give me that guy. So I'm with you.
Radi, Ben, where does, and I don't want to extend y'all too much longer. So Radi, if you got to kill it, then kill it. But where does this rank in terms of November wins for Georgia for y'all in terms of performance? Y'all been doing Radi, you've been doing it since Wally Butts was here, but Ben, I know you've been doing it for a few years now.
Yeah. And recent memory, I think given the point in the season over the last 3 to 4 years, this might be number 1 or number 2. Was Tennessee a November game when they beat them when they were number 1?
That
I think
either October or
8-0?
November. They were 8 now. Yeah, they were undefeated. It was number 1. But I just
remember they dominated them, so that might be number 1. But this would be number 2 because Georgia. This is a complete game against a good team because they hadn't done that all year. They face a ranked team when they played both sides of the ball and dominated throughout pretty much the majority of the game, even though it was a little bit of a lull in the middle. But I think this is probably second to that Tennessee game.
See, my problem is I can't remember what happened in November last year or the year before. Too much hunker vodka. I can't keep up with all that. But I'll put it this way:
last year as well. So I mean, that's a staple. They're a staple. Honestly,
this was absolutely. And again, I get so nervous before these games because, as Coach says, I focus too much on what Georgia can't do and not what they can. And to be fair, when you saw how smoothly Texas was moving, you know, they zip down the field and they kick a field goal, and just some of the plays they busted on Georgia, you know, it's always the possibility that they could hit a big one on you. And so you can't relax when another team has the ball going against Georgia's defense. But last week they faced 2 of the top 7 wide receivers in the SEC with a very good quarterback, very good passing offense. What was Georgia's weakness? It's secondary, and this is a team that had given everybody else in the SEC fits, and you're going to play at their house. And Georgia beats the brakes off MSU. So you beat Mississippi State, which again, you can't call that a statement win because beating a team that only has 1 SEC win feels kind of hard to say. You know,
they played everyone tough though.
I know they played everyone tough, but again,
Texas.
they still only have 1 SEC win, so it's kind of tough. You and I understand, what that means, but to the rest of the nation, like, well, you're supposed to beat Mississippi State. They're terrible.
It's like Arkansas. This Arkansas team, Roddy, might be like the best 2-win team ever. Because I feel like they literally had A&M. They were leading them for a big chunk of that game, and they only lost by a point. And I feel like this weekend's LSU, like they're in 1-score games almost all but like 2 of the games. They were all in 1-score games.
But people don't dig that deep, so they only see the win-loss record. But I'm telling you, last week, and of course you were tight with Florida until the fourth quarter, until Chauncey Bowens breaks free. But
well, that was
last
only a
week
4-point win. It was tight.
It's like Michigan, for example, Roddy. They're in 1-score games with Purdue and Northwestern. Those 2 teams are terrible.
Yeah.
And I don't see people talking about it with Michigan.
No, but I'm just saying this was a statement win. Last week was a statement win that the Georgia fans understand how big a win last week was. This week, the nation understands. You were the number 5 team. You took on the number 10 team. You pushed their poop in. You know, this is a team that's you beat them 35-10 with 6 drives that went nowhere. This is supposed to be the best defense, or one of the best defenses in the nation. This is the number 2 rush defense in the nation, and you ran the ball on them. So I don't know if this is the biggest November win in a long time, but I can tell you it is absolutely a statement win, and it's got a lot of people going, I'd be happy to avoid Georgia in the playoffs.
Right.
I don't know that I want to play Georgia. Texas is a good team, and they just got killed. They skull dragged Mississippi State. They're going to put up 56, 63 on Charlotte, and then they're probably going to beat Tech. Yeah, I know the Georgia Tech game is always different, but
they haven't been impressing me recently at all.
Their defense is not good.
No.
I mean,
They're one of the bottom in the nation in run defense.
And this is an offense that's clicking on all cylinders right now. Well, I mean, it could click on all cylinders. They clicked on all cylinders because Ole Miss. So I'm thinking there's a good chance Georgia winds up, 11-1. Probably about an 85% chance they wind up 11-1, and maybe are not in the SEC championship game. And then you're going to have to go to their house for that first round of the playoffs. Nobody wants to face Georgia right now.
That's a big debate, though, Roddy. Are they going to be the 4 or 5 and does it matter? Because you're either going to play a G5 team, which honestly doesn't even deserve to be in there,
James Madison,
or you're going to be the 4 and you're going to get the bye to play whoever the 5 versus the 4. I mean, the 5 versus the 12.
I have no idea. That's for smarter people than I. But I'm just saying, this is the first time all year that if I'm an opposing team, I'm like, ooh, I don't want nothing to do with Georgia.
I remember Joel Klatt talked about this. I listened to it because I saw a soundbite where he compared this Georgia team this year to last year's Ohio State. He goes, they lost a very close game where they had a miscues against Oregon. Ohio State did. Georgia lost a very similar game the way they lost to Alabama this year, where it's like you had opportunities to beat them, and then they were angry and pissed off to end the year.
That's the thing. Remember how everyone said last year that it was time to fire Ryan Day?
Yeah.
Then he wins the title. So, again, if Georgia wins the title this year, I will be flummoxed knowing what they look like early on. And I will stand on this desk and say Kirby Smart deserves to be Coach of the Year.
Mike Bobo deserves to be Coach of the Year.
No, he gets Bros Award. Come on.
I know.
So
well, and Roddy, add to that, like, if Georgia plays its cards right this offseason, by all accounts, next year is looking even better. Like, you go add.
I'm the original. This is a rebuilding year guy. Everyone else said
I think there's one big fish they might get in the portal.
July 1st, when our first day at On 3, we all came out with our predictions. I said this is a rebuilding year for Georgia. What do you mean rebuilding? It's reloading. I'm like, no. There's a lot of stuff you have to build from the ground up. To rebuild the offensive line, you got a brand new starting quarterback. You got to rebuild the defensive front. You got to rebuild the defensive secondary. And if they put this together in a rebuilding year, I mean, tomorrow you're going to be the number 4 team in the nation.
Yeah.
You're very likely going to go in a rebuilding year 11-1 with the only loss, a 3-point loss to Alabama. That's pretty damn impressive. And again, you're not as talented as you used to be. So, and it's not like you've played nobodies. There's a bunch of ranked teams in this. So, hell of a job and fun to cover. Very fun to cover.
Can we go ahead and just plug it real quick, Roddy? Because Kirby mentioned today, like a month away from the portal opening, and just I don't know if we can find the portal thread from last offseason, but we need to see if we can, because folks, if you're looking for portal news, there's 2 people on the screen that contribute to that thread, Ben and Radi in that account. That thing is awesome. Awesome.
It's going to be basically where's Cam
it was
Coleman
daily
going?
updates. It was daily updates from mid-December through like late January.
Yeah.
And there's a 2027 quarterback by the name of Bobby Coleman. He has a brother, Corey Coleman. Georgia might be the leader for him in 2027 at quarterback. I'm just going to say that. I'm just going to say it and put it out there. I don't know why, but
here's the thing. Georgia got a commitment today from Noah Parker, and they might get a commitment tomorrow from
a small one, just a small one,
from the number 1 player in the nation for 2028, 5-star quarterback who's ranked number 1. So,
wow,
Georgia's in as a possibility. Do we know what time he's announcing tomorrow?
Did he set a time?
I will figure that out.
I'm just saying it's 2:30. I probably won't go to bed until 4:30 because I got to edit the stories that we've put up at ugsports.com. So
that should be a
There
small
is
one. Mark.
no time officially. It
please
just
tell me he
says
does it
will
after
announce.
church.
I hope it's not. What was it? That Isaiah Wilson commitment, Roddy? Do you remember that? Where it was like he's committing at this time, and it was like a concert. The whole thing was a freaking.
It was
concert.
a Christmas
2 hours.
spectacular at his church. Shout out to Rochester Dog. Nobody in the world had a better gauge on what was going on the Isaiah Wilson recruitment at that small private school that he was at. But we had a guy in that school who's a member of the dog vent. We had updates that nobody had. God, I love the dog vent.
Did you ever hear about Jim Harbaugh was like stomping on his floor with cleats? Like they were like the leader in his recruitment, and then he like pulled up to an in-house and just totally messed that recruitment up. He goes, he just pulled up wearing cleats. He ruined my floor. He's like, yeah, at that point, I wasn't considering.
I missed that. And my boy Zach Klein said he's going to vote for the Dogs to be number 3 in the rankings. Yeah, I mean A&M damn near lost, so I could see the number 3 right now. Georgia feels like, I mean, here's the thing: I'm not scared of Ohio State at this point, although they got great offense and I mean a great defense. But Georgia can hang with them. I think Georgia would beat Indiana. I think Georgia would beat Texas A&M. So yeah, put them in the top.
A&M versus Bama, if that's the SEC title game, is a weird matchup because I have no idea who I'd even trust in that.
Last one, I still don't understand how our O-line sucked last year with 3 NFL starters on it. This year's vastly better. Yeah, those guys were banged up all year, though. That's the problem.
Dylan Fairchild played through turf toe. That's impossible to play through for an offensive lineman.
Go Dogs, check your cows. See you next week. That's the best way. I get it. All right, folks, we're going to cancel this here. We've been
man, top right stuck with Eddie and Paul tomorrow, so pray for him.
Yeah.
Real quick, Radi, before you wrap it up, on that note, go check. And if you want to see why Georgia's offensive line could run the ball last year, go check how Miami's doing in terms of having a quarterback that's not a threat to run. And
yeah,
it's two years, 2 different teams, veteran offensive lines. You don't have a mobile quarterback, and the backside end crashes. How many times has the backside end just stopped the Georgia run this year? Not many, it feels like.
Well, here's the thing. Sometimes the backside guy coming in after Gunner hands it off, he'll step in front of that son of a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Which I can guarantee you is if I'm a quarterback and I just handed it off to Chauncey Bowens and the backside guy's crashing in, this 6'4" defensive end who's about 235, 255 pounds, I'm not standing in front of him. But
and when he doesn't have anyone to block, Roddy, he said he's going to run into the end zone. That's what he did at Mississippi State last week. He said I had no one to block, so I'm just going to meet him in the end zone.
Love it. All right, everybody. We will see y'all next week. Or join Harrison at what, 7:30?
7:30.
Well, 7:30 today because it's Sunday. So 7:30 p.m. Join him there.
It's gonna be a fun day.
We'll see you guys later. Y'all take care.